For Kim Tae-hyun, this was the end of the world. At the edge of oblivion, all he could do was stare up at the broken, bleeding sky. The ground below was a silent sea of the dead, a grim testament to humanity's final, failed stand. A monstrous shriek cuts through the ruins. In the middle of the carnage, a lone survivor lets out a desperate scream as a beast lunges toward him. This is Kim Tae-hyun. He's locked in a brutal struggle, his knife the only thing between him and the fangs of a serpent-like monster. The creature's jaws clamp down, pinning him against a ruined pillar. He shoves back with everything he has, gritting his teeth against the crushing pressure. With pure, desperate strength, he pries the monster's mouth open, blood and sweat blinding him as he fights just to breathe. He finally brings the beast down, standing over its massive corpse for just a moment. A small, exhausting victory in a war that was already lost. Tae-hyun gasps for air, his entire body screaming in protest. The knife in his hand is the only thing that feels real. For a split second, he feels a flicker of pride. He finally killed a monster on his own. But that thought is instantly crushed by the memory of a voice screaming at him, calling him nothing but an unawakened. The reality of his situation comes crashing back. He's just one man, a simple porter, standing before an army of demons under a blood-red sun. A spiky-haired hunter, one of the men who'd hired him, storms over, yelling at him to get back to work. If he's a porter, he should be collecting the monster drops, not standing around. Tae-hyun looks completely flustered, managing only to stutter an apology. He's just hired help, always in the wrong. As the hunters walk away, he hears them muttering about how useless he is, leaving him small and defeated against the vast, ruined landscape. He just stares ahead, his expression hollow. This was his life, enduring insults and being looked down on, all just to survive another day. The world wasn't always like this. But then it all went to hell. Everything changed the day the abyss appeared. It was a gateway to another dimension, a place where monsters from fantasy stories became a horrifying reality. But with this new threat came a new hope. Some people began to awaken incredible, superhuman powers, becoming hunters who could fight back against the darkness. The old rules of society crumbled. Your worth was no longer measured by your skills or personality, but by your awakening rank. A high rank guaranteed a good life. Tae-hyun looks down at the glowing purple monster core in his hand, a treasure for anyone else. But that good life was never for him. At 35 years old, he was still just an unawakened porter who had never even seen a status window. A surge of frustration boils inside him. He knows that as long as he's unawakened, he'll always be worthless. He turns to shout that he's collected all the loot, but the words die in his throat. His eyes widen in absolute shock. He's looking at a field of bodies. The entire hunter party he was with, they're all dead. The same spiky-haired man who was just yelling at him now lies lifeless on the ground, his face a frozen mask of pain. His mind reels. They're all dead. Just then, a cold, otherworldly voice echoes around him. "You are the last one." Tae-hyun looks up, and his blood runs cold. A towering, multi-armed figure looms over the battlefield, radiating an aura of absolute power. He's paralyzed with fear. All he can see are those terrifying, glowing red eyes staring down at him from behind a featureless white mask. This is no ordinary monster. This is the SSS-Rank Demon Lord of Destruction, Asmodeus. With a final, desperate roar, Tae-hyun charges forward. It's a suicide run, but it's all he has left. Asmodeus simply raises one of its many hands, which swirls with a dark, purple energy. Tae-hyun's knife shatters against the demon's energy shield. The impact is so powerful it feels like his arm will break. He is completely outmatched. A casual flick of the wrist is all it takes. Asmodeus sends him flying back, making him crash into the dirt, coughing up blood. The Demon Lord unleashes its power, sending two razor-sharp projectiles of dark energy hurtling straight for him. There's no escape. This is it. As the attack closes in, his life flashes before his eyes. This is how he dies, with tears of pure despair streaming down his face. He remembers his parents dying in a car accident. He remembers the endless bullying he suffered in school. He remembers a whole life spent being ignored by everyone, all because he was an unawakened nobody. All the misery and frustration of his pathetic life boils over in one final, agonized scream. He curses his fate, roaring a single desperate word into the void. Awakening, Suddenly, in a space beyond reality, a message appears. All awakening conditions have been satisfied. The world around Taehyun transforms. The fiery battlefield melts away into a breathtaking cosmic nebula. A staircase of pure light materializes before him, leading up to a radiant figure. He looks up, utterly bewildered. Before him stands an ethereal being, glowing with an impossible light, its long white hair flowing as if in a gentle breeze. Taehyun is completely lost. He was just facing Asmodeus. The memory of the demon lord and the burning battlefield is still fresh in his mind. He then realizes that time itself has frozen. Asmodeus's deadly attack is stopped in its tracks, just inches from his face. A voice echoes in his head, amused and condescending. Haha, you're focused on someone like Asmodeus stopping? Taehyun kneels on the ground, looking up at the strange entity with a mix of fear and awe. Who are you? The being's answer is cryptic. Who knows? Some call me king, but that doesn't need to concern you. It gestures to the swirling cosmos around them. From now on, I will bestow authority upon you. The being settles onto a throne of pure light, looking down at him like a god. Taehyun can only repeat the word, king? His mind is racing. Authority? What is he talking about? Did this being stop Asmodeus so easily? The king seems to hear his thoughts. It is not good to be so distrustful. It explains, I simply admired your will and tenacity, and so I came to choose you. Tiny planets orbit its hands as it gazes down at the last human. Taehyun panics. Wait, choose me? The being gives a calm warning, saying that a miracle like this will not happen again. Just what is going on? Taehyun yells, completely overwhelmed. The king just chuckles. Just wait patiently. A day where you will understand everything shall come. Its form begins to fade as it gives him a final, parting message. Then, let us meet again. The king looks towards the frozen demon lord and calls out to Taehyun one last time, my key. Then, an explosion of light engulfs everything. A blinding flash consumes his vision. Muffled, angry voices begin to break through the darkness. Taehyun slowly regains consciousness, hearing someone ask about a voice, while another snaps that he's sleeping. Someone else curses. Crazy punk, now he is completely ignoring us. The first voice says with a grin, then we just have to wake him up. A hand glows ominously. Good morning. A loud slap cracks across his face, jolting him awake. Are you awake now? A voice yells. Taehyun's eyes shoot open, his vision blurry. The world comes into focus. He's in a classroom, surrounded by familiar, sneering faces. His eyes land on the leader of the group, and a name escapes his lips in disbelief. Bae Hyuk-soo? His mind is a whirlwind of confusion. The bastard who bullied him in high school, how is he here? He was just in the abyss. Ben, the king's words echo in his mind. He said he would bestow authorities, and it's starting to make a horrifying kind of sense. In his eye, the reflection of the classroom overlaps with the memory of the burning, apocalyptic sky. A screen of light flickers into existence before him. It's a status window. His status window. It reads, Name Kim Taehyun. Age 19. Rank F. The pieces fall into place. A status window at age 19. This is 16 years in the past. The shock gives way to something else. A slow, chilling grin spreads across his face. If this is real, that means he erupts into wild, uncontrollable laughter, still in the grip of his stunned bully. The bullies are completely freaked out. What is wrong with him? Has he gone crazy? They yell, taking a step back. Bae Hyuk-soo, enraged by the disrespect, roars, You really want a thrashing, and throws a punch. But this is not the same weak kid he's used to beating up. With the instincts of a battle-hardened survivor, Taehyun ducks under the punch and drives his fist straight into his tormentor's gut. The bully goes flying across the room. His friends can only stare in disbelief. Taehyun looks up, a wide, triumphant, almost broken smile on his face. This is his second chance. This means that he clenches his fists, tears of pure, ecstatic relief streaming from his eyes. His life of failure is over. He, too, is awakened. On the school rooftop, Bae Hyuk-soo lies flat on his back, out cold. His two friends can only stand there, completely stunned. Taehyun slowly straightens up, wiping tears from his face. But these aren't tears of sadness. They're tears of pure, overwhelming joy. Finally, he has a chance to fight back. The other two bullies snap out of their shock, their fists glowing with awakened power. "Kim Tae-han, you bastard, have you gone mad?" one of them screams. They both charge at him, one throwing a punch wrapped in fire, the other a blast of icy wind, certain they can overwhelm him. But this isn't the same Taehyun. He ducks under the fiery punch with an ease they can't possibly understand, his body moving with a trained instinct. He twists, effortlessly dodging the ice attack as well. To them, it looks like sheer luck. To him, it's just another day at the office. He remembers his past life. For 35 years, he may have been unawakened, but he was never idle. He did everything he could to survive. He pushed his body to its absolute limits, memorized every monster in the abyss, and mastered every form of combat he could, from boxing to archery. So there's no way he would lose to untrained thugs like these, who don't even know. With a fluid motion, he strikes them both, hitting their weak points with practiced, brutal precision. Terst. The first thing about a real fight. The two bullies collapse to the ground in a heap, taken down before they even knew what hit them. Taehyun lets out a small, confident smile. This was the only possible outcome. He cracks his knuckles, a grim look on his face. This 19-year-old body is weak. He'll have to start his training all over again. Suddenly, his focus is broken by a low mutter from behind him. What a load of bullshit. It's Bae Hyuk-soo, staggering back to his feet, his face twisted with fury. Awakened. "Kim Tae-hyun, you son of a bitch." He lets out a roar as his body begins to transform. "You're fucking dead now." Jagged rocks erupt from his skin, encasing him in stone armor. His C-rank skill, stone skin. He clenches his new rocky fist. The power radiating from him is on a completely different level. Hyuk-soo throws a punch that flies through the air like a boulder. Taehyun can only bring his arms up to block. The impact is immense. Even with his superior technique, the raw power is too much for his frail body to handle. Taehyun is sent flying backwards, his body screaming in protest. He crashes hard onto the rooftop, the sheer force of the blow kicking up a cloud of dust. Hyuk-soo stands over him, his stone form crackling with power, a true predator. Taehyun pushes himself up, his eyes locked on his opponent. The difference in their strength is terrifyingly clear. He blocks another punch, but the force sends a jarring shock through his entire body, his feet digging into the ground as he struggles to stand. His arms are shaking. He knows he can't win this with brute force. Hyuk-soo grabs Taehyun's fist, his grip like iron. "What are you doing?" he sneers, his face a mask of pure arrogance. Taehyun glares back, a wild look in his eyes. His own hand feels like it's on fire from the impact. With a savage grin, he pulls his hand back and slams it into Hyuk-soo's stone face again and again, even as his knuckles bleed. But it's useless. Hyuk-soo doesn't even flinch, and with one final punch he sends Taehyun sprawling. Taehyun sits in the dust, coughing up blood. The fight has taken its toll. Hyuk-soo's heavy footsteps approach. "You should have known your limits," he mocks. "Come back to your senses now, have you?" He looks down at Taehyun with pure contempt. "You lowly, unawakened bastard. What are you going to do now?" He continues to taunt him. "Keep running like you were just now? Or maybe struggle with that little awakened skill of yours?" Taehyun lies on the ground, seemingly defeated. In this world, awakened beings are defined by a skill and a rank. The ranks range from F, barely stronger than a normal human, all the way to the monstrous S rank. The higher the rank, the greater the power. But Taehyun's skill is different, an F rank called predation. The worst possible rank and a power he's never heard of. Logically, an F rank like him has no chance of winning against a C rank like Bae Hyuk-soo. Seeing the resignation on his face, Hyuk-soo scoffs, ready to deliver the final blow. But then, something changes. A dark, menacing red aura begins to seep from Taehyun's body. He slowly gets to his feet, surrounded by swirling, blood-red energy. A confident smirk plays on his lips. "I do not feel like I am going to lose." Hyuk-soo is taken aback. What the hell is that? The air grows heavy as Taehyun's power surges, forming a monstrous silhouette behind him. He stammers in disbelief. "No way. You actually awakened that lowly Kim Taehyun?" Taehyun feels the power coursing through him. For the first time, he feels magic move to his will. So this is predation. Even Hyuksu is confused. "I do not know what is happening," he mutters, but his confusion quickly turns back to rage. "But it will all be over once I kill the caster." He charges forward, ready to end this once and for all. Taehyun simply raises his hand, the red energy swirling around it like a vortex. The energy erupts, forming a massive, demonic maw that lunges straight for Hyuksu. "What?" Hyuksu cries out as the red energy slams into his stone armor. Taehyun pushes his hand forward, channeling the full, terrifying force of his new skill. His eyes glow with a menacing red light as he begins to overwhelm his bully. The predation skill starts to consume Hyuksu's power, his stone skin cracking under the immense pressure. Hyuksu roars in pain and terror, his tough exterior crumbling away into nothing. Tendrils of dark red energy wrap around him, pulling his skill, his power, his very essence apart. Down below in the classroom, the other students are oblivious, lost in their own worlds. A flash of crimson energy reflects against the window pane, the only witness to the brutal battle reaching its conclusion. On the rooftop, a single, lonely textbook lies in the dust. The dust begins to settle. Taehyun stands alone, the tendrils of red energy slowly receding back into his body. Ba Hyuksu lies on the ground, unconscious and defeated, his stone skin completely gone. The battle is over. Taehyun is the one left standing. He looks down at his hands as a system window appears before him. Predation has been completed. Another message follows. As a result of preying upon the target, your rank has changed to E. His hand begins to glow, fragments of rock forming and flaking away. And a new skill. A surge of power rushes through him as the absorption completes. Stone skin has been registered. He didn't just defeat his opponent, he stole his power. For the mess Taehyun just made, there was only one place to go: the school clinic. Inside, the school nurse looks up from her desk, her expression shifting from mild curiosity to utter confusion. Because standing in her doorway is one student, dragging the unconscious bodies of 3 others behind him, Taehyun looks up, his own face bruised and bloody, and offers a calm, almost unnerving greeting. "Hello, teacher." The nurse can only let out a horrified scream, completely stunned by the carnage in front of her. Taehyun explains that after the fight he moved everyone, including Ba Hyuksu, to the clinic, and since the nurse herself wasn't awakened with a healing ability, he had her treat his own injuries as well. Of course, he couldn't exactly tell her the truth. When she asked what happened, he gave her the most ridiculous excuse he could think of: "We rolled down the stairs." She looked skeptical, but what else could she say? Somehow, he managed to get her to drop it. Now, fully healed, he leaves the school behind. This is great. He finally awakened, and even got revenge on the one person who made his first life a living hell. But as the initial rush of victory fades, a more serious thought takes its place. The problem is the very power that gave him this victory: predation. He thinks about its incredible potential. His rank, something he struggled his entire past life to even awaken, shot up to E rank after a single use. Even though it's labeled F rank, it completely overwhelmed a C rank. And more than that, it can steal the skills of the opponents he defeats. Standing on the steps, he's flooded with questions. Why did that godlike being give him a power like this? Why send him back in time at all? But amidst all the confusion, his face hardens with resolve. In the end, there's only one thing he can do. He stands before his home, his mind set. He needs to find out everything he can about predation. A flicker of emotion crosses his face as he looks at the building. It's been a while since he came home. A wave of nostalgia washes over him. After his parents died, he lived here with his uncle and his family. He slips his key into the door. He knows his uncle will be back late. It's the perfect time to go online and search for information about skills similar to his. But the moment he steps inside, he freezes. The room is not empty. His younger cousin is on his hands and knees, surrounded by 3 menacing figures. Taehyun recognizes him immediately. His cousin is too scared to even notice him, letting out a panicked yelp. "Hwang Jaeyoung," Taehyun asks, confused. "Why are you not at school?" And then it hits him. His eyes widen as the memory floods back with chilling clarity. He remembers this day. An envelope stuffed with cash on the table. This bastard cousin of his, even before the regression, he remembered this. Jae-young started hanging out with other bullies, stole all the money in the house, and caused a massive scene. To think that day would be today. The memory of his terrified younger self facing these same thugs is still vivid in his mind. The leader of the thugs, a guy with long blonde hair, turns to him. "Well now, I was wondering who it was. Jae-young's cousin?" He strolls over to Tae-hyun, casually threatening him. "If you do not want to get beaten up, do not get involved. We will just take what we need and leave." He leans in, a smug look on his face, and grabs Tae-hyun's shirt, calling him an unawakened, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Tae-hyun just stares back, his expression completely unreadable. This is perfect. He wanted to test it anyway. Before the thug can even process what's happening, Tae-hyun sends a brutal kick straight into his chest. The thug flies backwards, hitting the floor with a sickening thud. He lets out a choked gasp, the wind completely knocked out of him. His two masked friends and his own cousin stare in absolute shock. Tae-hyun doesn't give him a second to recover. He's on him in an instant, grabbing him by the collar. The thug panics, weakly trying to tell him to wait. But Tae-hyun ignores him, focusing his will, trying to summon his power. Predation, he thinks, activating the skill. He smirks, ready to absorb this guy's power just like he did with Bai Hyuk-soo. But a system message flashes in his mind, and his eyes go wide with shock. The predation function is inaccessible. The thug on the floor is just as confused, with no idea what Tae-hyun was just trying to do. Tae-hyun reels back, his mind racing. Predation did not activate. The thug sees his chance. "You crazy bastard!" he screams, kicking out and catching Tae-hyun completely off guard. The blow sends Tae-hyun stumbling back. The other two thugs see their opening and leap forward, shouting, "Die!" All three of them unleash their skills at once. Blasts of red, purple, and green energy, bind, poison, and bleed all C-rank attacks. The three energy blasts converge on him, but Tae-hyun's survival instincts are razor sharp. He kicks up the coffee table, using it as a makeshift shield just as the attacks hit. From behind the swirling clouds of poison and energy, the thugs watch, confused. "How dare an unawakened pretend to be awakened?" one of them scoffs. "He does not even know his place." The attacks connect, but a new message appears in Tae-hyun's mind. The usage of a skill has been sensed. The shadowy form of predation materializes in the room. The system confirms the incoming skills: bind, poison, bleed. Then, something incredible happens. Due to a mysterious power, resistance was successful. The attacks simply dissolve into nothing. Tae-hyun looks at his hand, which glows faintly. It suddenly didn't work, and then it neutralized skills as it pleased. The blonde thug is completely baffled, with no idea what's going on. But Tae-hyun is starting to understand. This power is more than just a tool for theft. He unleashes his own energy, dark red tendrils lashing out and shattering the floor around the thug. His eyes glow with a faint, golden light. A vicious grin spreads across his face as he looks at the terrified man. But it sure is strong. For now, Tae-hyun takes a moment to process everything. Standing over the thugs he just took down, his mind is already racing. The fight taught him two crucial things about his new power. His status window might say he's just an E-rank with a couple of skills, but he already knows it doesn't tell the whole story. First, even with plenty of mana, his predation skill failed to activate on one of the thugs. That means there are hidden conditions to its use he needs to figure out. And second, he's discovered a secret passive effect. It seems to automatically neutralize skills that cause abnormal conditions. He'll have to test his theories to be sure, but for now, that can wait, because something far more important is on his mind. A voice from the floor interrupts his thoughts. "What are you doing?" Tae-hyun glances down to see his cousin, Hwang Jae-young, kneeling on the floor, bowing his head. The cowardly cousin is in a full-blown panic, begging for forgiveness and swearing that he'll do anything, Tae-hyun says. He offers to lick his shoes, even bark like a dog. Tae-hyun looks down, disgusted. He always knew Jae-young was a spineless opportunist, but this is a new level of pathetic. And as if to prove the point, Jae-young actually starts making small barking sounds. Tae-hyun winces. This idiot isn't the problem right now. The real problem is an incident he knows from his past life is about to happen today. Tae-hyun cuts him off. "Fine, I'll forgive you." Jae-young's head snaps up, his face a mask of disbelief and relief. "Really?" In return, Tae-hyun's voice drops, his expression turning cold. "You're coming with me. A wave of dread washes over Jae-young as he stares up at his cousin, trapped. A short time later, they arrive at a fenced-off industrial area. A large sign warns them to stay out. Restricted area. Inside, a team of awakened hunters in business suits stand guard, on high alert. Suddenly, the air tears open and a glowing red sphere materializes. It's a gate break, a portal to the abyss with monsters about to pour through. The team leader notes it's been 10 years since the last gate break. It appeared so fast that monsters are already clawing their way out. One of his subordinates begins to panic, suggesting they evacuate the entire neighborhood before it's too late. But the team leader calmly tells her there's no need. He's a B rank awakened, and his powerful barrier skill is more than enough to hold them back. A shimmering hexagonal shield proves his point. He looks completely sure of himself. Besides, he adds, the mana reading from the gate is only C rank. The monsters inside shouldn't be a major threat. His subordinate looks relieved, trusting her leader's judgment. In theory, he's right. They should be able to handle this, but a single drop of sweat trickling down the leader's face tells a different story. Something feels wrong. With a sickening crunch, a few low-level monsters slam into his shield, and a web of cracks spreads across its surface. He tries to reassure himself and his team, stating that as B-rankers, they can handle this. But the confidence in his voice is gone. Meanwhile, just outside the barrier, Jae-young struggles to keep up with Tae-hyun, panting for breath and begging him to stop. He frantically points out that the control personnel are already on site, so there's no reason for them to be here. He keeps calling Tae-hyun sir, but Tae-hyun just tells him to shut up. Tae-hyun calmly agrees with his cousin's logic. The gate's mana is C rank, and the team is B rank. There shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Jae-young cries, desperate to just go home. Tae-hyun's eyes narrow. But that's only if it's actually a C rank dungeon. Jae-young freezes, the terrifying implication hitting him all at once. Back inside, the team leader stares at the dead monsters that broke through his barrier. How strange, he mutters. Kneeling down, he can't understand it. How could low-rank monsters pierce through his B-rank barrier? A horrifying thought dawns on him. Could the mana overflowing from the gate be a higher rank than his own? One of his teammates screams, "Team leader!" Something inside the gate is a massive, dark shadow begins to emerge from the portal. A giant, monstrous claw smashes against the barrier from the inside. With a deafening shatter, the barrier explodes into pieces. The team leader can only stare in horror. What is that? A monstrous roar echoes through the air as a truly massive beast steps through the gate, its presence dwarfing everything around it. It's a giant ogre, a terrifying A-rank monster. The leader is paralyzed with fear, his mind struggling to accept the truth. It wasn't C, but A. The ogre's first attack is a devastating explosion of power, completely obliterating the area where the control team was standing. Jae-young is now in a full-blown panic, crying, "Okay, let's say you're right, but this is insane. How did you know all of this?" Tae-hyun just keeps walking forward, thinking to himself that he knows because he's already lived through this day once before. He gives his terrified cousin a simple, one-word answer. Intuition. My intuition told me so. Jae-young is about to scream that he's lying, but his words are cut short by the sound of screams as monsters flood the streets, chasing after terrified civilians. The entire area descends into absolute chaos. Tae-hyun grabs his cousin's shoulder. "You remember what I told you to do, right? Go on." Jae-young looks back, terrified for him. "What about you?" Tae-hyun simply asks. "Me?" His eyes are fixed on the chaos ahead, a cold, calculating look on his face. This disaster is his opportunity. "I'll get rid of those monsters and be right behind you," he says as his stone skin skill activates. His arm transforms into jagged rock, and he charges straight into the danger. High above the city, in a skyscraper overlooking the disaster, an official gets the report. The gate was misidentified as C rank, but it's actually an A rank threat. With no other hunters available, the situation is spiraling out of control. There's only one person who can handle a crisis of this magnitude. They need an A rank awaken. In a car speeding towards the scene, a man with long purple hair gets the desperate call for help. This is the city's greatest hero, the A-rank awakened known as the Blade of Lunacy, An Hyun-soo. His eyes glow with a golden light as he dramatically shouts into the phone, "Everyone, hang in there. The hero, I, An Hyun-soo, am coming." A system window pops up, revealing his most defining trait, 8th grader syndrome. Amidst the spreading chaos, Taehyun doesn't run. He moves with deadly precision, easily dodging a clumsy swing from a low-level monster. Using the stone skin skill, he smashes his rock-hard fist straight through the creature's chest. He lands among the monster corpses, but his work here is far from over. Raising his hand, the dark, swirling energy of his predation skill begins to form. It activates, devouring the essence of the fallen monsters and pulling their residual power directly into his own body. A confident smirk spreads across his face. Just as he expected, he finally understands. The reason predation failed earlier was because of fatigue. The skill won't work on any target whose fatigue is over 70%. Most skills drain a user's mana, their primary resource. But fatigue is a hidden cost, an exhaustion that builds with every move, weighing the body down. Taehyun grins. He's found a loophole. The system informs him that since the targets are already dead, it costs no mana. Instead, his own mana is restored. And best of all, a new message flashes before his eyes. His rank has just changed to D. He stands amidst the carnage, feeling the new power flowing through him. At this rate, he won't just surpass the strongest hunters, he might just become the world's first triple S rank. With the weaker monsters cleared out, he figures his work is done here. He turns to head back to his cousin, but a massive explosion rips through the air, stopping him in his tracks. He looks over to see a lone figure clashing with the giant A-rank ogre, the force of their blows shattering the street. A man with wild purple hair roars at the monster, "You filthy beast! I will avenge the souls you have taken." He strikes a dramatic pose, shouting, "This warrior of justice, An Hyunsu, will be your judge." Taehyun can only stare, completely dumbfounded by the hero's ridiculous theatrics. The ogre roars and swings, but Hyunsu meets its colossal fist head-on. He channels a brilliant golden energy into his arm, forming a massive blade of pure light. With a powerful slash, he unleashes a cross-shaped blast that completely engulfs the giant monster. The attack tears through the street, a display of incredible A-rank power. From the sidelines, Taehyun watches as the dust begins to settle. He thinks to himself that this must be the hero who single-handedly resolved this crisis in his original timeline. The Blade of Lunacy, An Hyunsu. He was just as powerful as the legends said. Hyunsu poses over the fallen monster, gloating about his justice sword. Taehyun deadpans internally. He's also just as foolish as he'd heard. But then a chilling thought hits him. Why is An Hyunsu here? He remembers it clearly. In his first life, Hyunsu fought the ogre on the other side of the city. As the hero offers a silent, dramatic prayer, Taehyun realizes something is terribly wrong. He looks up, his eyes widening with dawning horror. Is it because of him? A system window flashes. A skill has been sensed nearby. Behind the praying hero, a figure materializes from thin air, plunging a dagger deep into Hyunsu's back. Hyunsu gasps, coughing up blood. What? An icy, spectral face forms from the shadows, whispering, "I caught you, An Hyunsu." As the chaos continues to spread across the city, Taehyun finds his cousin, Jae-young, hiding inside a nearby clothing store. Lying on a sofa, fast asleep, is their school nurse, Choi Na-young. She's completely unaware of the monsters just outside. Jae-young glances from her to Taehyun, nervously asking if this is really okay. Taehyun's gaze is cold and distant. "Tonight, a lot of people are going to die," he continues. "One of them is our school nurse." Jae-young flinches, shocked. Taehyun explains that, in the future, he knows she dies here because she stays to help people, instead of evacuating. He asks his cousin, "Your skill can put people to sleep, right?" After a hesitant nod, Taehyun gives his order. "Then put her to sleep and get her somewhere safe." With a determined glint in his eye, he adds, "I'll handle the rest." As Taehyun leaves, Jae-young watches him go, his mind reeling. How could his cousin possibly know all of this? Perhaps? Does that even make sense? But there's no other explanation. He looks from the sleeping nurse to the door, a new, profound respect for his cousin growing. "Taehyun, no, Sir Taehyun." The only conclusion he can come to is that his cousin has awakened a skill that lets him see the future. He starts to freak out over how incredible that is, until Taehyun pokes his head back in and bluntly tells him, "No, that's not it." As Jae-young carries the nurse to safety, he reassures himself that with his cousin's power, everything will be fine. But back on the battlefield, Taehyun curses under his breath. He stares at the scene before him. Things have gone seriously wrong. The hero, An Hyunsu, is on one knee, wounded but defiant, yelling at his attacker. "Who are you? Reveal yourself." The attacker, a bald man with a sadistic grin, just chuckles. "You're still alive after a vital point strike. A ranks really are something else. This will make the hunt more fun." The man is Han Sang-do, a B-rank villain with a stealth skill. Villains are awakened who use their powers for crime, and this one is a notorious killer who uses the chaos of gate breaks to go on murder sprees. Taehyun watches from the shadows, his mind racing. He's sure of it. These two never met in his original timeline. The terrifying truth sinks in. Did the future change because of him? Hyunsu glares at his attacker with pure hatred. "You evil bastard! You were a villain. I will punish you with my own hands." He lunges, his blade of light clashing against the villain's daggers. The two are locked in a fierce, desperate battle. Han Sang-do's two cronies join the fight, overwhelming the injured hero. And just when things couldn't get any worse, the giant ogre's body begins to twitch. Its wounds steam and seal over, and it rises once again. With a deafening roar, the A-rank monster is back in the fight. Even the villains are shocked. Hyunsu can only marvel at the incredible regenerative power of an A-rank beast. Han Sang-do barely dodges another swipe from Hyunsu's light sword. Realizing he's outmatched, he leaps away from the hero, changing his plan. "Well, can't be helped," he says with a grin. "I'll leave An Hyunsu to that monster." He turns, his chilling red eyes scanning the area and locking onto a new target. He's looking directly at Taehyun. "To think we had a spectator," he laughs maniacally. "Nice! The more prey there is, the better." Before Taehyun can react, the villain vanishes into thin air. The next thing he knows, Han Sang-do is right in front of him, dagger raised, screaming, "Die!" He follows up with a brutal kick, sending the villain flying back, spitting blood. Han Sang-do lands in a crouch, a look of shock on his face. "So you're an awakened." Taehyun calmly identifies him. B-rank villain, Han Sang-do. The villain's eyes widen. "This kid knows exactly who he is," Taehyun continues, his voice completely devoid of fear. "The lunatic who goes around murdering people? Using a stealth skill. That's you, isn't it?" Taehyun cracks his knuckles, a predatory smile spreading across his face. He activates Stone Skin, his hand transforming into jagged rock. "Great running into you." The two clash in a blur of motion. Despite being a lower rank, Taehyun moves with the experience of a seasoned survivor, easily blocking and dodging the villain's attacks. Sang-do is impressed. "You're certainly skilled enough to be confident." He glances at the battle raging behind them and mocks Taehyun, saying he must feel safe since his attacks aren't working. "But you see, kiddo," he sneers, "the world doesn't always go according to plan." Sang-do's eyes glow with a malicious purple light. He activates his signature skill, Stealth, and vanishes completely. Taehyun looks around, seemingly trying to find him. He thinks to himself that hiding is pointless. His eyes dart to the side. The villain's attacks are still useless. He throws his stone-covered arm up, preparing to block an attack he can't even see. But a voice whispers right behind him. "Are you sure about that?" The villain's dagger sinks deep into Taehyun's side. Blood erupts from the wound, and Taehyun collapses, stunned. A triumphant, maniacal laugh echoes through the ruins. "Do you know how many guys like you I've hunted? The ones who think their skills make them invincible." He looms over the wounded Taehyun. "Now that your weakness is exposed, you're just dying to run away, aren't you?" Taehyun grits his teeth as a spectral beast of purple energy lunges at him. "You better understand this before you die. All skills have a weakness." Taehyun just stands there breathing heavily as the attack fades. He looks at his crumbling stone arms, catching his breath. He knew Stone Skin had a flaw. It wasn't a perfect defense. Now he understands. A powerful enough shock shatters the stone, and the new layer that replaces it is far weaker. The pieces click into place. He was aiming for this all along. Taehyun looks up at the villain. He knows he can't win a one-on-one fight against a B-ranker, not with his current physical abilities. He looks at Sang-do and calmly asks, "Should we wrap up the test now?" The villain just stares back. "What?" Han Sang-do bursts out laughing. "Did you go mad from being cornered?" But Taehyun is already moving, closing the distance between them. "B-rank villain Han Sang-do," Taehyun says, his voice chillingly calm. "Do you know why I wanted to meet you?" The villain laughs, completely unnerved. What the hell are you yapping about? Taehyun's face twists into a terrifying grin as the full, wicked power of predation erupts from his body. Because I wanted to take your skill. Sangdo is paralyzed by the sheer evil of the energy surrounding him. What is this wicked mana? This bastard was hiding this the whole time? But a crazed, confident grin spreads across his face. You idiot! You think you can hit me when you can't even see me? Taehyun just smirks. Didn't you say it yourself? That every skill has a weakness. I realized this after absorbing countless monsters with excellent sight, Taehyun explains. In the end, predation consumed them all. Simply put, the red tendrils of his skills spread out like a web, instantly locating the invisible villain. Wherever you run, Taehyun's eyes glow red. Predation will find you no matter what. The skill engulfs Han Sangdo, consuming him entirely. His screams are silenced by the overwhelming power. As dawn begins to break, the fighting finally stops. In the center of the destruction, An Hunsu lies defeated, breathing his last. He can't believe that even he, the hero of justice, couldn't defy death. He collapses. The giant ogre standing over him lets out a low growl. But then, the monster roars in agony. Its massive body begins to crumble, the damage it sustained finally taking its toll. With one final pained grunt, it falls to the ground, dead. Hyun-soo, barely conscious, watches the monster die. What the hell? You're completely beaten. Taehyun steps over the monster's corpse and approaches the fallen hero. A dark smile plays on his lips as the red energy of predation swirls around him once more. No wonder. After all, it is way more comfortable this way. The sun rises over a city still reeling from the chaos of the night before. As Taehyun opens the door to his home, he's met by the shocked and relieved faces of his aunt and uncle. His cousin, Jae-young, is right there with them. Jae-young throws his arms up, yelling, "I'm home!" while Taehyun quietly follows him inside. His aunt and uncle are overwhelmed with emotion, tears welling in their eyes. His uncle says they were terrified the monsters had gotten them. Jae-young just laughs it off, asking Taehyun if anything even happened. But his uncle points out that the house is a complete mess. Jae-young quickly changes the subject, trying to hide the fact that he and his friends were the ones who trashed the place. Taehyun checks his phone. The news is wall-to-wall coverage of the gatebreak, the first one in a decade. The government has officially lifted the warning. However, just in case, all nearby schools have been ordered to close for a week. As reports of survivors come in, the public is finally starting to breathe a sigh of relief. At the hospital, the hero An Hyun-soo, bandaged and hooked up to an IV, tries to set the record straight. He insists it wasn't a C-rank gate, but an A-rank. He gets agitated, shouting to the reporters outside. "Dear citizens, I'm not the one who took down the giant ogre. The true hero is someone else." But the official story is different. The ogre's body was never found, and the villain who attacked him is also missing. Most people don't believe Hyun-soo's story about a mysterious second hero, and they're worried the government isn't prepared for another disaster. Taehyun scrolls through the news. Good. There's no mention of him anywhere. He pockets his phone. Okay then. A determined smile crosses his face. Time to advance to the next stage. He stands before the dark entrance of an abandoned railway tunnel, an undiscovered dungeon he knows about from his past life. He quickly reviews his status. He's D-rank with 3 skills now: predation, stone skin, and the stealth skill he just stole. It's a great haul, but using all 3 at once is too taxing. Using his skills recklessly would drain his mana and spike his fatigue, leaving him completely vulnerable. There's a simple solution to that problem: potions. Items that can restore mana and relieve fatigue. But potions are expensive. To get them, he needs money. And to earn money, he has to hunt. To hunt legally, he needs a license from the Player Association. That leaves him with only one real option: exploring undiscovered dungeons. A high-risk, high-reward path that completely bypasses the rules. Inside the dungeon, a voice hisses from the shadows. How dare a mere mortal come here? 3 humanoid spider women emerge from the darkness. One laughs. "Let's paralyze him and have a feast!" Taehyun calmly notes that they're intelligent. They're the Spider Sisters, B-rank monsters. He knows taking them down won't be enough to raise his rank. He wonders aloud, am I going to have to eat hundreds of these things? Enraged by his arrogance, one of the sisters shrieks, "How dare you, you lowly human? Do you not realize the situation you're in?" She puffs up her cheeks, wily, and spits a glob of purple venom right at him. "We're going to eat you alive." They watch as the venom hits him, their smiles wide and cruel. "How do you feel now? Do you feel yourself becoming unable to move and para?" Their triumphant smiles vanish. The venom did nothing. A system window confirms it due to a mysterious power. Resistance succeeded. Taehyun smirks. "Just as I predicted. You had quite a useful skill." The Spider Sisters are utterly shocked. They try to flee, but it's too late. With a blood-curdling screech, the full force of predation engulfs them. A new skill, paralysis, has been registered. Meanwhile, at the towering headquarters of the New South Korea Player Association, 2 newly registered players are carried out on stretchers. Go Taewook, the HR deputy manager, watches with a grim expression. This is where awakened individuals are officially registered as players, legally permitted to use their skills. The association manages every player in the entire country. This includes the nation's largest and most powerful guilds, the 4 great guilds, visual transition, the fighters, known as the Undivided, the crafters, the alchemists, and the mages, the magicians. And finally, the informants, the nightwalkers. All of them are managed by the Player Association. Right now, 2 of the most powerful people in the country are meeting. A woman with short purple hair greets an older man. "It's been a long time, Chairman. This is Yu Ah-young, an A-rank player and guildmaster of the magicians." The man she's speaking to is Ji Jinhui, the S-rank chairman of the association. He asks if she's learned anything new about the Malignant Guild. The Malignant Guild, a powerful criminal organization formed by the most brutal villains. They're identified by gold rings, each one carved with 3 skulls. Yu Ah-young hands him a file detailing the guild's recent movements, but she knows he didn't call her here just for a report. "So, what is it really about?" The chairman laughs. "Well, I wanted your opinion on something," he asks her. "Miss Ah-young, when did you first take the player test?" She tells him she was 14, the qualifying age, and then the implication dawns on her. "Chairman, don't tell me." He leans forward, his expression suddenly serious. "Do you think a high school student could rival a monster in a fight?" Back in the depths of the dungeon, Taehyun makes a phone call. "Hello, is this one of the 4 great guilds, the alchemists?" He gets straight to the point. Sitting on a pile of monster corpses, his hand glowing with purple energy, he says, "I want to buy some potions." A week of chaos is over. But for Taehyun, the fight is just moving back inside the classroom. The 7-day school closure has ended. Students shuffle back onto campus, their chatter filling the air, a picture of normalcy that feels a world away from the monsters that just tore the city apart. But for Taehyun, this wasn't a week off. It was a week of progress. He pushed his body to its absolute limit, a burning determination in his eyes. Beside him, his cousin Yeyoon could only cry out in pain, but Taehyun just kept going, his focus unshakable. And physical training was just the start. He dove headfirst into the darkness of dungeons, surrounded by screeching goblins. There was no fear on his face, only a cold, hard focus as he tore through them. He spent the entire week clearing out every undiscovered dungeon he remembered from his past life. The rewards were massive. He took his loot, a mountain of high-quality mana stones, to the Alchemists Guild. The guild members were practically begging him, promising to treat him as an SVIP if he would just agree to trade with them. For Taehyun, it was just business. He traded his huge haul of monster cores for all the supplies he would need, but the most important gain wasn't the money or the potions. It was his own growth. His status screen tells the story. His strength, speed, and mana have all skyrocketed. He now has 4 C-rank skills. He had finally broken through to C-rank, a level that would have been a distant dream in his previous life. Sitting in the quiet classroom, Taehyun stares out the window. C-rank is a good start, but he knows it's nothing compared to the monsters he'll have to face. And yet, he's still just a high school student, sitting at his desk as if nothing has changed. For now, he still has to go to school. A bitter but necessary reality. A few classmates approach his desk. One of them stammers out his name, asking if the rumors are true that he beat up Bai Huksu's gang and awakened. A girl with him looks terrified, whispering to her friend that Taehyun is in big trouble now. She tells him this has escalated way beyond a simple schoolyard fight. Just then, Heavy footsteps approach the classroom door. Taehyun's eyes narrow. He senses it before he sees it. The door slams open with a deafening crash, silencing the entire room. A group of arrogant-looking students stride in, led by a guy in a sharp suit. One of them kicks a chair out of the way, making it clear they own the place. Chaezo-26, the terrified student, says it all. There's no way Lee Jung-jae is going to let this slide. Taehyun sits calmly, looking up at the man who's taken a seat on the teacher's desk as if it's his throne. The man, Lee Jung-jae, smirks down at Taehyun, a faint red aura glowing around him. "Been a while, old friend," he says, his voice dripping with condescension. This is Lee Jung-jae, an S-rank awakened, and Taehyun knows exactly who he is. The heir to the powerful Taesan Group, the same corporation that sponsors their school. He's the undisputed king of all the bullies. Taehyun flashes back to his past life, a brutal punch sending him reeling against a brick wall. He remembers wiping the blood from his lip, helpless anger burning inside him. He remembers Lee Jung-jae and his crew standing over him, laughing at his weakness. This was the guy, the one who ordered Bai Hyuk-soo to make his life a living hell, all because he was an unawakened nobody. Taehyun looks at him, his face unreadable. He scoffs. "Someone like you, friend?" The friendly mask drops. "Cut the crap and get lost," Taehyun says, his voice ice cold. One of Jung-jae's goons is enraged. "You bastard." He lunges forward, but a blur of motion stops him. Jung-jae grabs his own man by the shirt, his grip like iron. "Can't you see?" he says with a chilling smile. "We're having a conversation?" He drops his man and turns back to Taehyun, chuckling. "I get that you're feeling yourself after beating Hyuk-soo." However, suddenly, a massive, fiery aura explodes from his body, pressing down on the entire room. He sneers. "Shouldn't you be more careful who you act up in front of?" Taehyun feels the intense pressure. So this is the magic of an S rank. It's impressive. Jung-jae leans in, his voice low and threatening. "You better listen while I'm being nice." But Taehyun's hand begins to crackle with a dark red energy. He's not intimidated, he's curious. He wonders how an S-ranker will face predation. Before he can move, a sharp voice cuts through the tension. "Lee Jung-jae, that's enough. Stop." A wave of crackling blue energy washes over the room, neutralizing Jung-jae's fiery aura. A girl with long blue hair stands between them, pushing back the pressure. She looks at them both with cold, piercing eyes. Jung-jae is surprised. "Lim Ah-young?" She doesn't flinch. "Kim Taehyun, you as well." "Enough." Taehyun recognizes her immediately. Lim Ah-young, class president, model student, and an S-rank awakened. In the future, she's destined to become a legendary SS-rank player. The problem is, Taehyun knows her personality all too well. She is uncompromising, and she simply won't back down from a fight she believes is right. Jung-jae forces a laugh, trying to play it cool. "What do you mean stop? We're just friends having a chat." Ah-hyung isn't buying it. "Friends? What about how you just punched him in the face?" Jung-jae's friendly facade cracks, his eyes glowing red. "Lim Ah-young," he hisses. "Watch yourself." She doesn't even blink. "I'm going to use force if you don't leave," she warns. Taehyun decides to step in, a powerful aura of his own flaring to life. "You both need to stop. At this rate, the classroom will be a mess." Jung-jae glares at him, his red eyes burning with fury. Ah-young looks back, her icy blue eyes just as intense. The room is caught in a three-way standoff. Taehyun breaks the tension, deactivating his aura. "Let's quit it," he says, looking completely bored. "I have no intention of fighting you here." Jung-jae is taken aback by his casual dismissal. "Is that so?" He suddenly unleashes a massive wave of fire, not at Taehyun, but at Ah-hyun, roaring, "Did you get my permission for that?" Just as the fire is about to hit, a loud bell rings through the school. Ah-young looks up, startled by the sound. Taehyun stands completely unfazed. The school's PA speaker crackles to life. A voice announces, "Announcement from the broadcasting club." The speaker buzzes again, demanding everyone's attention. A special lecture will be organized by the Players Association. All students are expected to assemble in the main hall immediately. The announcement echoes across the school grounds. The voice repeats the message. A special lecture will be Jung-jae's fiery aura dissipates. "Player Association?" he mutters, clearly annoyed. He gives Taehyun one last hateful glare. Hyung powers down, her own aura fading as the confrontation ends. Jung-jae smirks, turning to leave. My goodness. As he walks past, he tosses a final threat over his shoulder. Just know that you're lucky. This is far from over. As he leaves, Hyung's hand drops. The immediate danger has passed. She turns to Taehyun, her expression softening with concern. Kim Taehyun, are you okay? She starts to say he doesn't need to thank her, but he's already turned his back, kicking his desk into place. He doesn't even look at her. What are you doing standing there? Didn't you hear the announcement? Well then, I'll be going first, he says, walking away without another word, leaving her completely stunned. She can't understand it. She stepped in to help, and he treated her like an annoyance. She can only wonder, has Kim Taehyun always been like that? The quiet bully boy she knew is gone. The scene shifts to the school's main auditorium. The hall is packed with students, all buzzing with confusion about the special lecture. The speakers crackle again. Greetings, everyone. A man in a suit stands at the podium. He introduces himself as Go Tae-wook, an HR deputy manager from the Player Association. He gets straight to the point. I'm here today for 2 reasons. One is to apologize for our lack of response to the gate break and to provide safety training. His expression turns serious, and a powerful purple aura radiates from him. He is clearly a high-ranking player himself. And the second reason, he continues, his voice booming, is to inform you of the changes to the player tryouts for those of you who hold the future of our association. In the crowd, Lee Jung-jae glares daggers at the back of Taehyun's head, muttering his name. Nearby, Lim Ah-hung bites her lip, her eyes also fixed on Taehyun, still trying to figure him out. And Taehyun? He just lets out a huge yawn. He knows, better than anyone, that this announcement is about to change everything. And for him, it's just the next step. In the school auditorium, a single announcement is about to change the future. But for Taehyun, this is just history repeating itself, and he's ready to play the game his own way. The students whisper amongst themselves. Player tryouts for them? It seems impossible. The hall fills with a low hum of confusion. The HR manager, Go Tae-wook, leans into the microphone. You may have thought that, he says, his voice cutting through the noise. But we're here because it is related to you now. He explains that due to the recent gate break, the Player Association is severely understaffed. Starting this year, they are making a huge change. They will be accepting nominations for high school students. A wave of shock ripples through the crowd. This is a life-changing opportunity dropping right into their laps. Tae-wook lists the selection criteria, ability, academics, behavior, but a faint, cynical smirk plays on Taehyun's lips. He knows it's all a lie. He remembers from his past life that the tryouts will indeed be open to high school students, but the selection process is already underway, right here, right now. It's all happening through Go Tae-wook's special skill, a skill known as the Observer's Eye. As he scans the crowd, numbers appear above each student's head, quantifying their hidden potential. It's a powerful ability that can measure the sum total of a person's abilities, even revealing their entire status with enough focus. Tae-wook allows himself a small, satisfied smile. The students here have much higher potential than the ones at other schools. This place is a goldmine of talent. But his eyes widen as he focuses on 2 students in particular. They're on a completely different level. First, Lee Jung-jae. A massive, fiery aura surrounds him, his power level a staggering 1927. And then, Lim Ah-hyung. An intense, crystalline blue energy swirls around her, her power level even higher at 230-35. Truly monstrous potential. Tae-wook recalls a recent conversation with the Magician's Guildmaster. She'd been shocked that so many powerful, untrained awakened were all gathered in one place. He was supposed to be writing his recommendations. But just as he's lost in thought, Mr. Sest. Player? A voice calls out. It's Lee Jung-jae, his hand raised arrogantly. Tae-wook is pulled from his thoughts, confused. Jung-jae stands up, addressing the entire hall. You said you'd inform us about the tryouts, but aren't some candidates here unfit to even hear this? He continues with a smug look. I mean, the tryouts are for assessing the awakened. He turns his head slightly, his eyes locking onto Taehyun. In other words, I don't believe a mere unawakened person needs to be here. Tae-wook tries to interject, explaining that strength isn't everything. Latent rank and knowledge of the abyss are also important factors. But Jung-jae cuts him off. But in the end, all of that comes from being awakened. His gaze stays fixed on Taehyun, a cruel smirk on his face. For an unawakened, this is just salt in the wound, isn't it? Taehyun finally looks over. So that's what this is about. Jung-jae is willing to go this far just to confirm if he's awakened. Jung-jae lets out a low chuckle. Go on, if you've awakened, prove it. Lim Ah-young stands up abruptly, ready to intervene, but stops. Taehyun gives her a cold side-eye, dismissing her completely. Annoyed, Ah-young is left speechless. She clenches her fist, frustrated. Whatever, I don't care either, she mutters, sitting back down. Jung-jae turns back to Taewook. So, I wish you'd send them out of here. Taewook nervously replies that it's up to the students themselves to decide if they want to stay. Jung-jae turns his full attention to Taehyun. How are you not humiliated? Not like you can get nominated as an unawakened. Taehyun stands up, hands in his pockets, completely unfazed. Jung-jae continues to taunt him. Or do you just not give a damn? Taehyun finally speaks, his voice calm. He admits that without proving he's awakened, he can't get any perks from the tryouts. But to get recommended, he says as Taewook's observer's eye focuses on him, I don't necessarily have to show that myself. From the stage, Taewook's eyes are locked on the drama. He mutters Jung-jae's name, disgusted. An S-rank player, and he's bullying others. How pathetic. He then thinks of Taehyun, recalling his file. An unawakened with unknown latent rank. Information could not be verified. A dead end. But then Taewook flinches. Something is wrong. He realizes his mistake. Taehyun's words echo in his mind. What use would it be for an unawakened to attend such a lecture? It would only hurt their pride. Taehyun smiles faintly. So, I'll get out of here myself. He turns, giving a defiant middle finger to the entire assembly. You guys stay locked up and attend your great lecture. Jung-jae is seething, but on stage, Go Taewook is in a state of absolute shock. My observer's eye didn't work on him. His mind races. He's used this skill on the chairman himself. This has never happened before. Yet why? As Taehyun calmly walks down the stairs, leaving Jung-jae fuming, why did his ultimate observation skill fail with a kid like him? Taehyun walks out of the auditorium without a backward glance. A faint shimmer of power flickers around his shoulders. Taewook tries to scan him again, but the result is the same. Information could not be verified. But for a split second, as Taehyun turns, the skill catches something. Information verified. Taewook's eyes widen in utter disbelief, his pupils contracting in shock. A monstrous red aura explodes into his vision, surrounding Taehyun's silhouette. And a number appears, so impossibly high it defies all logic. 5096. The school day ends, but the tension is far from over. In the quiet of the school, Taehyun makes his way to the library. He sits down with a stack of books, planning to spend the day searching for clues about the mysterious entity known as the King. Well, he thinks with a grim look, not like I'll find anything here. Suddenly, a group of figures surrounds his table. It's Bae Hyuk-soo's old lackeys. Jung-jae's looking for you, one of them says. Come with us. Taehyun doesn't even look up. He slowly closes his book. And if I say no? The lackey just smirks. He leans in, his voice dropping to a nasty whisper. Your aunt runs a restaurant, doesn't she? Taehyun's eyes snap wide open. What? He says, stunned. The goon continues. Jung-jae wanted me to tell you this. He sneers. You're a pathetic orphan. Do you want to give your aunt a hard time when she's already struggling? Another goon, his face still bandaged from their last encounter, crackles with energy. Don't worry, we're gonna drag you to Jung-jae either way. He doesn't finish the sentence. In a blur of motion and a crash of splintering wood, the library explodes into chaos. Bookshelves are shattered, books sent flying as a wave of pure force rips through the room. One of the goons coughs violently, his body racked with pain. Taehyun stands amidst the wreckage, holding one lackey by the collar. His voice is dangerously quiet. Don't make me ask you twice. He tightens his grip, his eyes glowing with cold red fury. Where is that bastard Lee Jung-jae? The stage is set, not in front of an audience, but in the silence of an empty gym where pride and power are on the line. The squeak of shoes on polished wood is gone, replaced by a heavy silence. This is the arena. Taehyun stands on one side of the court, calm and collected. On the other, Lee Jung-jae waits, flanked by his imposing bodyguard. The bodyguard remarks that this is surprising. Jung-jae, with a smug grin, just asks for his opinion. This is Seol Hoon-do, an A-rank player and Jung-jae's personal bodyguard. He reveals he's been trying to hit Taehyun with status effect skills ever since he walked in, but none of them worked. To have such high resistance, Hoon-do concludes Taehyun must be an A-rank awakened himself. Jung-jae just chuckles, just as he expected. In that case, Jung-jae says, turning with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, shall we have a chat with our friend here? Taehyun stands silent, his expression unreadable, waiting for Jung-jae to make his move. Jung-jae starts his pitch. He says his words might have been rough earlier, but he has no intention of hurting him. In fact, he wants to scout him. He explains that as the heir to the Taesan group, he's forming his own guild. But even a genius like him can't do everything alone. He looks at Taehyun expectantly. You get what I mean? Human talent, Jung-jae says with a predatory grin. He's not looking for bums like Bae Hyuk-soo. He needs real, talented people. He points directly at Taehyun. Just like you, Kim Taehyun. He throws his arms open wide in a theatrical gesture. So, Kim Taehyun, forget your old grudges and come work for me. His face is twisted in a manic grin. He promises wealth, honor, and to get Taehyun's family out of their shitty life. He's dangling power, assuming it's what everyone wants. Taehyun's response is ice cold. What a load of shit! Jung-jae freezes, completely taken aback. Taehyun's face darkens, a stony texture creeping up his arm as stone skin activates. Scout? Wealth and honor? His voice is low, filled with a simmering rage. Lee Jung-jae, you crossed a line. A dangerous red aura flares around him. This is no longer about pride, it's about retribution. Jung-jae is silent for a moment, shock giving way to understanding. A cold smile returns to his face. Oh, that's right, he scoffs, his hands erupting in brilliant flames. As I thought, dogs have to be trained. Before the fight begins, the bodyguard slams his hands to the ground. A glowing magic circle spreads out from his palms. Room, he yells, and a barrier of light erupts, engulfing the entire gym. His binding skill creates a pocket dimension, concealing the space so no one outside can detect what happens within. The walls of the gym shimmer and distort, replaced by a hexagonal digital barrier. The arena is set. Hoon-do cracks his knuckles, a smug look on his face. Now, no one will find out about the young master's fight. The battle explodes. Jung-jae lunges, unleashing a whirlwind of fiery attacks that tear up the gym floor. The two clash in a brutal exchange of power. Taehyun's hardened fists meet Jung-jae's blazing ones. They meet in the center with a massive explosion of force, a shockwave of fire and energy ripping outwards. Taehyun's stone skin bears the brunt of the fiery blast. He grunts in pain as cracks spread through his stone armor. But he holds his ground as Jung-jae unleashes another devastating, fire-enhanced kick. The attack connects, creating another huge explosion that engulfs Taehyun. He's sent flying, spitting blood as the force of the S-rank attack rattles him to his core. Jung-jae laughs maniacally, his body wreathed in flames. Do you finally see where you stand now? From the sidelines, Seol Hoon-do watches, completely confident in his master's victory. That young one, Kim Taehyun, he thinks, a flicker of pity on his face. I feel sorry for him. He assumes Taehyun is just an A-ranker, impressive for a student, but no match for a true genius. But today, he concludes grimly, his opponent is... But then something changes. Taehyun dodges an attack and counters with a move of his own. Jung-jae's eyes widen in surprise as he's forced to block. Hoon-do can only watch, thinking of his master as the epitome of intelligence, a powerhouse, an S-rank. He thinks to himself that Taehyun has no chance of winning. He should just learn his place. But then, he catches a flash of movement he wasn't expecting. A drop of sweat rolls down his face. The fight becomes a blur of motion, a furious exchange of dodges, blocks, and counters, far more brutal than before. Taehyun lands a clean, vicious elbow strike, laced with a dark purple energy. He follows it with a solid punch that shatters the floor where Jung-jae just was. Seol Hoon-do is horrified. Impossible! The young master was overpowered in close combat? But how? Before he can finish, Jung-jae is sent sprawling to the ground, gasping in pain. He screams in a mix of fury and confusion. Damn it! Kim Taehyun, you bastard, what did you do? My body, I can't move. The bodyguard is completely stunned. He can't move? He finally understands. Body strengthening wasn't his only skill. He looks at Taehyun, standing calmly amidst the debris, and can only wonder, what the hell is he? A faint, satisfied smile touches Taehyun's lips. Finally, it's working. He stands over his fallen rival, clothes torn and face bruised, but his eyes are clear and victorious. Taehyun has acquired 3 skills through predation so far: stone skin, stealth, and paralysis. But he wasn't using all of them. Stone skin countered the fire. Stealth would be useless. And predation is a trump card not to be used lightly. His true objective was something else entirely: the accumulation of paralysis through close combat. With every punch he landed, he wasn't just doing damage, he was injecting a dose of venom. Even with Jungjai's high S-rank resistance, the constant, repeated application of paralysis was like a hammer chipping away at a wall. He resisted and resisted until finally his defenses shattered. Taehyun had landed the final, decisive blow, the one that broke through and locked his body in place. He stands over his defeated opponent, who lies helpless on the floor, surrounded by wisps of dark, paralytic energy. Seol Hundo stares, his mouth agape, sweat pouring down his face. He's a genius, he thinks, his mind reeling. In a head-on battle, he surpassed the young master's level. But the fight, isn't over. A weak chuckle comes from the floor. I admit it, Kim Taehyun. Jungjai glares up at him, his pride still burning. I guess I underestimated you. If not for that, there's no way I'd lose to a piece of shit like you. So from now on, he pulls out a glowing purple artifact. It shatters, and a massive wave of dark energy surges into his body. A monstrous shadow rises behind him. A colossal, flaming skeleton materializes in the gym, its empty sockets glowing with hellfire. Jungjai gets to his feet, his body wreathed in dark energy. His eyes glow with borrowed power. I shall fight you seriously as well. With the summon of a fiery demon, the fight has escalated from a battle of pride to a struggle for survival. The flame skeleton unleashes a furious punch, its fist a meteor of fire. Taehyun is forced to meet it head-on. He blocks with his stone-covered arm, but the impact is immense, sending a shockwave through the gym. He's sent flying, completely airborne from the raw power of the attack. Even with stone skin active, his arm cracks under the pressure. His face is bruised, but his eyes remain sharp, analyzing the situation. The skeleton doesn't give him a moment to recover. It gathers a massive ball of fire, a miniature sun pulsing with destructive energy. It unleashes the attack, a swirling vortex of flames that tears across the gym floor. Taehyun brings his arms up to defend, his stone skin the only thing between him and annihilation. The explosion is catastrophic, vaporizing the gym floor in a hailstorm of fiery shrapnel. Jungjai screams in victory, convinced he's won. His bodyguard, Seol Hundo, is floored. This is the true form of his master's S-rank skill, Flameheart. Hundo knows that normally it would be impossible for the young and inexperienced Jungjai to draw out this much power. But he remembers the artifact Jungjai used, a mana-amplifying stone. These rare items are created by refining a monster's very core. Their sole purpose is to temporarily and massively amplify the user's mana. With that stone, even the reckless Jungjai can forcefully draw out his true S-rank power. But Hundo's face is pale with worry. The only problem is, he screams at his master, "Young master, you have to stop now. Are you planning to kill him?" Besides, he yells, his voice filled with panic, that magic power is too much for you to handle. Your whole body might burst from the surge. But his warning is ignored. A blade of pure fire shoots from Jungjai's hand, aimed right at Hundo. The bodyguard is sent flying by the blast, crying out in pain. Jungjai, his face a mask of flame and fury, hisses, "Shut up. How dare a lowly bodyguard order me around?" He coughs, the power clearly taking its toll. "That piece of shit humiliated me," he snarls. "You want me to let that slide?" From within the smoke, Taehyun stands beaten and bloodied, but his eyes burn with defiance. "Stop your bullshit," Jungjai roars, his skeleton unleashing another devastating stomp that shatters the ground. He's lost all reason, laughing like a madman. "Die! Die, Kim Taehyun!" Hundo watches in horror. His master isn't in his right mind. He can't imagine how they'll handle the consequences of this. The entire gym floor is now a crater. Hundo, struggling to his feet, screams into the dust cloud. "Kim Tae-hyun, are you alive? Run away!" He's desperate now, trying to save Tae-hyun's life. I'll stop the young master somehow, so quickly. But before he can move, a fist slams into his face. He's knocked out cold, collapsing to the ground. A calm voice cuts through the chaos. "Run away?" Tae-hyun emerges from the smoke, brushing dust off his shirt. "What are you yapping about after picking a fight yourself?" No doubt, Tae-hyun admits to himself. S-Rank is truly different. On the floor beside him lie several shattered potion bottles. He's completely restored his energy. So, from now on, I'm also going to be serious. A terrifying dark red aura erupts from his body as he calls upon his true power. Meanwhile, miles away, at the Player Association headquarters, Go Tai-wook reports his findings to the chairman. The chairman is in disbelief. 1900? 2300? Can this be? Yes, Tai-wook confirms. Lee Jung-jae and Lim Ah-young are without a doubt S-Rank awakened. His assistants are stunned. That's already the level of a pro A-rank player. At this rate, Lim Ah-hoon could be on par with Japan's legendary Saintis. Tai-wook lets out a hollow laugh. The Saintis, one of the top players in Japan, a monster whose stats had already surpassed 2,500 when she was first tested at 19. He recalls the legendary data. Even for that monster, she barely surpassed 2,500. So what on earth is the deal with that other kid's stats? The image of Tae-hyun flashes in his mind, along with that impossible number, 509 cc's. He tries to rationalize it. A hallucination? A skill error? Either way, he storms out of the chairman's office, his team rushing to follow. His face is set with grim determination. I must check it for myself. Back at the school, he bursts through the gym doors and stops dead, his eyes wide with horror. No way! He falls to his knees. The gym is completely destroyed, a smoldering ruin. How could this be? And in the center of the destruction, the battle rages. Tae-hyun stands alone, facing the massive flame skeleton, surrounded by a swirling vortex of dark energy. A shadowy, monstrous form begins to coalesce from the energy around him. Jung-jae can only stare in disbelief. How is this possible? His mind is breaking. How am I being overpowered by a scumbag like Kim Tae-hyun? I'm the heir of the Tae-san group. I'm an S-ranker, damn it! Lee Jung-jae! Tae-hyun roars, and the shadowy beast behind him lunges forward, a creature of pure darkness and predatory hunger. It doesn't matter whose heir you are or what rank you have, Tae-hyun thinks, his voice dripping with contempt. His eyes glow with a menacing red light. Because this is, the shadowy beast opens its massive jaws, and in a torrent of swirling darkness, it completely envelops and devours the flame skeleton. This is predation, the king's power. A storm of crimson energy erupts from the point of impact, pinning Jung-jae to the ground. He can only look on in absolute terror as his ultimate skill is consumed. The energy converges, into a single brilliant point before vanishing completely. The fight is over. The room barrier dissolves, revealing the catastrophic aftermath. The school building itself is now partially destroyed, a massive, gaping hole torn in its side from the sheer force of the battle. The battle is over. The silence that follows is heavier than any explosion, hanging over the ruins of the gym. Lee Jung-jae lies unconscious on the floor, the arrogant S-ranker utterly broken. His bodyguard, Seo Hundo, is barely holding on, his suit torn, his face a mask of disbelief. And in the middle of it all, Tae-hyun stands, battered but victorious. He looks at the destruction and lets out a dry remark. Well, this is a surprise. He looks down at the two defeated men, the A-rank bodyguard and the S-rank heir, both helpless at his feet. He knows Hundo managed to drag Jung-jae away just before predation could fully consume him. He wasn't able to prey on Jung-jae directly, but it doesn't matter. He got the skill anyway. Hundo struggles to his feet, asking weakly, "What do you plan on doing now?" He tries to threaten Tae-hyun, reminding him of who Jung-jae is, but Tae-hyun just scoffs. Look at you. Who started this fight? Aren't you acting shameless? A bloody, determined grin spreads across his face. Also, do I look like someone who'd cower from a threat like that? Don't worry, he says calmly. I don't plan on killing him. Hundo is confused. Then what? Taehyun's smile widens. In return, it's only right I receive the price for his life. The bodyguard is stunned. The price for his life? Taehyun considers it. He's the heir to a massive corporation, after all. He snaps his fingers, his eyes gleaming with cold calculation. I should get at least 1,000,000,000 won, don't you think? Outside, the student body watches in horror as smoke pours from the school. They don't know what happened, but Lim Ah-hyung feels it. The magic, the fierce flames. There's no doubt about it. This is Lee Jung-jae's power. But who on earth was he fighting? Her mind conjures a ridiculous image, Young-jae gleefully tormenting a helpless Taehyun. It's what she still believes their dynamic is. A teacher tries to hold her back, but it's no use. Ah-hyung sprints towards the gym, consumed by guilt. I thought wrong, she thinks, her mind racing. I shouldn't have been a simple bystander. This is all my fault. Kim Taehyun. She pushes herself faster, praying with every fiber of her being. Please, make it out alive. She bursts into the gym to find Lee Jung-jae groaning on the ground. And standing over him is Kim Taehyun, looking completely unfazed. He turns to her casually, not a hint of fear in his voice. You came right on time. I just happened to need a witness to help move him. He tells her to take him to the hospital. Ah-hyung can only stammer out, What? Kim Taehyun, what's going on? She asks. He just sighs. What the hell? He must have fallen down the stairs. Ah-hyung is speechless. The stairs? Taehyun continues. Anyhow, this has nothing to do with me, so handle it yourself. And don't go around saying you saw me, got it? I'm leaving now, he says, already walking away. Wait, Kim Taehyun, she calls out. At least give me a proper explanation. But he's gone, leaving her alone with the unconscious S-Rank heir. She's left completely baffled. The name echoes in her mind, now attached to a total mystery. Kim Taehyun? Taehyun walks away from the school, breathing a sigh of relief as he looks out over the city. He's confident that Ah-hyung will take care of things, and that the Taesan group will handle their side of the problem. The mess is settled. He pulls up his status window. His eyes scan over his stats, his skills, and there's something new at the bottom. What is this now? Monarch's Heart. A C-rank skill that boosts party members' stats. And a charm stat. He's annoyed by the charm stat, wondering why he got this after preying on Lee Jung-jae. It feels annoying. Also, he realizes, the skill I got isn't Flame Heart. It's Monarch's Heart, a skill that boosts the stats of his entire party. He can't believe Jung-jae had a hidden skill like this. A wide, genuinely thrilled smile spreads across his face. This is great! He knows skills affecting an entire party are incredibly rare. For someone like him who plans to use multiple skills, Monarch's Heart is way better. This is unimaginably awesome. As he's celebrating, the screech of tires fills the air. A convoy of black cars surrounds him. He's startled, caught completely off guard. A familiar figure emerges from the lead car. Finally found you, Kim Taehyun. It's Go Tae-wook, the HR manager, flanked by men in suits. I have a lot of questions for you, but I'll start with this one. Taehyun's mind races. How is this guy here right now? What did you do in the gym earlier today? A powerful purple aura explodes around Tae-wook. He's not just asking, he's demanding answers. The scene shifts to the opulent Taean Group headquarters. A man sits in a high-backed chair, a glass of whiskey in his hand. He asks coldly, So, what's your point? Demonic dogs growl around him as he recounts the report. My son is in the hospital, and he's asking for 1,000,000,000 won for his life, and he wants the matter dealt with quietly? Seol Hoon-do is on his knees, trembling. I'm sorry, sir, he's terrified, sweating profusely. I don't have anything to say for. The president's command is shocking. Do as he wants. Hoon-do looks up, stunned. What? The president just lets out a cold chuckle. He's quite the gutsy guy. Interesting. But his expression hardens, his grip tightening on the chair. However, there must be a worthy reward for the price we pay. He's not just going to hand over the money, he wants something in return. Hoon-do is terrified. Mr. President, these people, he pleads. The opponent is still a young kid. That'd be far too cruel. The president cuts him off, his voice laced with fire. Enough, I will not tolerate a barking dog. His eyes glow with immense, fiery power. He is Lee Jung-soo, an S-rank player and president of the Taesan Group. A far more dangerous opponent has just entered the game. A single question hangs in the air, heavy with accusation. "What were you doing at the gym?" Taehyun stares at the men blocking his path. Go Taewook, the HR manager, is standing right in front of him. Why is he here? Is it about the explosion, or is it about that impossible power level he briefly saw in the auditorium? Which one is it? Taehyun knows a deputy manager wouldn't normally get involved in a simple fire. But what if he already suspects Taehyun is the culprit? There's only one way to find out. He has to test the waters. With a smirk, he plays dumb. "If it's the gym, are you talking about that explosion?" Taewook is taken aback by his casual tone. "What?" Taehyun points vaguely towards the school. "You're talking about the fire over there? That's okay, other agencies will handle that." Taewook pushes forward. "More than that, I don't think I've heard an answer yet." Taehyun cuts him off. "Not about the explosion? Then what?" Taewook repeats his question, but a slow, knowing grin spreads across Taehyun's face. "Ah, this means you already know, don't you?" He flips the entire script, leaving Taewook and his men completely stunned. Taehyun continues calmly. "The reason you came to see me, I'm sure it's to give me an invitation to the player test." Taewook lets out a forced, nervous laugh. "Player test? On what basis would you say that?" Taehyun's eyes narrow. "Basis, you say?" A terrifying dark red aura explodes from his body. The power level flashes into existence even higher this time, 52-4. The raw energy is immense. Isn't this enough? Taewook and his men are frozen in pure terror. What? Nonsense! The pressure is overwhelming. He realizes with dawning horror that strange number, it wasn't a mistake. It was real. He stares at the boy in front of him, his voice trembling. "Taehyun Kim, what are you?" And just as quickly as it appeared, the aura vanishes. Taehyun looks down at himself. "But why are your clothes so messy?" he asks, as if they were just having a casual chat. Later, back at his house, the news of the player test has a very different effect. His cousin, Jae-young, is practically vibrating with excitement. "Really, brother, are you taking the player test?" Jae-young's jaw drops, his eyes wide with pure, unadulterated awe. He starts bowing frantically, shouting every title he can think of. "Yes, as expected. King, God, General, Emperor, Your Majesty, the Kim Taehyun." Daehyun just looks on, unimpressed. With the situation handled, Taehyun can finally focus. The Taesong group will cover up the gym incident, and Taewook has been dealt with. He thinks to himself that there won't be any more problems. But just then, his phone rings. An unknown number flashes on the screen. Meanwhile, across the street, two shadowy figures watch from a rooftop. One of them, wrapped in bandages, is seething. Why is this guy's house being protected by association players? "That's annoying," his partner grunts, easily dispatching one of the guards. "He must be one of those participants in the player test," he sneers. "They care about their participants like crazy. These are the assassins, the Black and White brothers." This is Black, an A-rank specialist. His bandaged brother asks, "Participant? Even so, isn't he just a kid with little experience?" This is the B-rank brother, White. His specialty is stealth. Black lands gracefully on a rooftop. "You're right, let's say he's promising. In the end, if you don't have experience, it's useless." "Let us show you what a real awakening is," he calls out, as White lunges at Taehyun from behind. But as the attack is about to land, Taehyun moves, grabbing the assassin by the face. "Who are you?" White chokes out. Taehyun looks at him, completely unfazed. "Me?" With a flash of cold, blue light, he slams the assassin's head into the ground, a brutal, definitive strike that ends the fight before it can even begin. Taehyun stands over the body, his voice dripping with contempt. An inexperienced kid. But how did he know? We flash back. Back in the destroyed gym, Seol Hoon-do is on his knees, stunned by the demand. "What? $1 billion?" he protests, saying it's not his decision. Taehyun cuts him off. "I know that. I'm not so bad as to hold you accountable. I'm just asking you to do your best to come to an agreement. And just in case you betray me." A dark purple energy wraps around Hoon-do's arm, chains of magic binding him. "Let's make an oath." Taehyun summons a magical contract, an Awaken's Oath. Any violation results in a permanent, crippling penalty. The conditions are simple. First, along with the $1 billion, do your best to resolve the gym incident. And just as promised, the news later rules the fire a gas explosion. And second, the phone call. It's Seol Hundo. He's fulfilling his side of the oath, giving Tae-hyun information about the assassins, notifying him in advance of any retaliation. Back in the present, the A-rank assassin, Black, attacks with blinding speed. But Tae-hyun, armed with a timely warning, meets every strike. Their blades clash in a flurry of sparks. Tae-hyun moves with an impossible grace, parrying and dodging. The assassin is shocked by his skill. Tae-hyun slams his fist into the ground, using the shockwave to create distance. Black and white brothers. Black stares at him, seething. Tae-hyun taunts him. "I heard you're good at stealth." He holds up the limp body of his brother. "But, as I see it, there's nothing special about you." The assassin is speechless. Tae-hyun's eyes glow with red energy, a cruel smile on his face. "After all, you can't do anything else." Elsewhere, in a luxury car moving through the city, the chairman of the Player Association, Ji Jin-wee, is on the phone with Yoo Ah-young, asking if the selections for the player test are over. He asks who she's looking forward to, teasingly suggesting a top prospect from Busan. "No way," she says, laughing. "Of course, that guy is great, but the one I'm looking forward to is your brother," Jin-wei interrupts. She scoffs at the suggestion. He asks if she was interested in the kid from Busan. "I was," she says, "until I heard an interesting story. Aside from the other S-class players," she explains, "I heard there was a child the deputy director Go Tae-wook personally contacted." Her curiosity is piqued. "Are you not curious? What kind of skill level does this awakened person have to make deputy director Go Tae-wook personally step forward?" Back at the fight, the dead assassin lies on the ground. But Tae-hyun is clutching his hand, a look of concern on his face for the first time. Why is this happening again? A system message flashes in his mind. A lack of physical ability, and worse, Predator is not available. His ultimate weapon is offline, and he's facing a vengeful A-rank assassin who's just seen his brother die. In the dead of night, on a quiet city street, the aftermath of a deadly ambush comes to a close. The two assassins, the black and white brothers, are bound and beaten, completely defeated. Go Tae-wook and his men from the Player Association have arrived, shocked that these notorious assassins would dare to meddle with a participant. Tae-wook turns to Tae-hyun, grateful but suspicious, and asks if there's any clue who might be behind the attack. Tae-hyun gives him a long, silent look. He feigns ignorance, a slight, unreadable smile on his face. "No, not really." Inside, Tae-hyun knows exactly who sent them, but telling the association about the Taesan group would only create more problems. And besides, right now, the Taesan group isn't the most important thing on his mind. He looks down at his hand, a faint red glow flickering around it. The system message from before echoes in his mind. His physical ability is not sufficient, and predation is unavailable. He knows what this means. His body is too weak to even use his other skills properly. The only way forward is to increase his stats. But how? Preying on monsters has failed to raise his base stats. That path is a dead end. He lets out a grim sigh. It seems there's only one option left, the hard way. The next day, under a bright blue sky, Tae-hyun and his cousin Jae-young arrive at a massive modern building. The sign is unmissable, BLACAA, an exclusive, high-end training center for the elite. A fit, energetic guide named Yura greets them with a cheerful, "Welcome." She strikes a playful pose, asking how she can help. Jae-young is in awe. "Blackhead, are you planning to enter here?" Tae-hyun just walks past him coolly. "Why else would I be here?" Yura laughs, still seeing them as children. "Kids." She starts to tell them this isn't an ordinary training place, but Tae-hyun cuts her off, slapping down a thick wad of cash. "Sign up. For two?" But it's the card he presents that truly stops her, a gleaming black SVIP card. Yura freezes, her mind a mess of questions. Tae-hyun asks calmly, "This should be enough for verification, right?" Yura recognizes the card. It's from the Alchemists, one of the 4 great guilds. Her mind races. Why do these kids have it? Are they players themselves? She's completely flustered, with no idea what to do. Suddenly, a booming laugh echoes through the gym. It looks like Yura is in a dilemma. A massively muscular man stomps over. "Kid, This place is not somewhere you can enter just with money. This is Mighty Steel, a B-rank coach at Blackhead, known for his muscles and his ridiculous self-given name. Jae-young is terrified. Taehyun, on the other hand, just looks at the man with a deadpan expression. A strange name. Is he stressed? The other gym members watch on, thinking the poor newbies have fallen into Mighty Steel's hands. The coach preens, boasting about how people scream when they hear his name. Mighty Steel roars. They are just weaklings. Yora and Jae-young look like they're about to have a heart attack. Mighty Steel flexes in Taehyun's face. Are you saying you are stronger than me? Taehyun just smirks. If you don't trust me, want to bet? Loser pays a year's membership fee. A massive laugh rips through the gym. Ignorant boy, Mighty Steel bellows. Good, let's start. The world dissolves into digital light as they enter the simulation pods. They materialize in a dark, treacherous landscape surrounded by monstrous silhouettes. The challenge is clear. Show us your worth. They are strapped into high-tech virtual reality machines, surrounded by an audience. Jae-young can't believe his eyes. What is that? The Abyss? Yora explains. This is a training program called Virtual Porter. In a VR simulation of the Abyss, the user has to carry a heavy load, defeat B-rank monsters, and reach the goal in the shortest time. It's a common way to determine rankings. On the big screen, the words "Game Start" flash, and the competition begins. Someone in the crowd whispers that this is very unfair to Mighty Steel. Inside the simulation, Mighty Steel lets out a vicious laugh. You stupid young man, he roars, smashing through monsters. Dare to bet against me. He boasts that his enhancement skill is unmatched in a fight. And in movement, he yells, crushing another monster. He's convinced his skills have no weakness here. Plus, the load I can lift is on a different level. I will train for a year for free. But on the other side of the simulation, B, Taehyun is moving like a phantom, a blur weaving through the chaos. He moves with an unnatural efficiency, effortlessly dodging monsters while carrying a massive pack. He's not just surviving, he's dancing. Every move is precise, every strike a killing blow. This is his past life. This is what he did for years. A bolt of pure energy erupts from his hand, vaporizing a group of monsters. His focus is absolute. He's a whirlwind of destruction, a one-man army. The combo meter explodes. 999 combo. He's annihilated everything. Mighty Steel is on his knees, panting and drained. I'm only planning to attend for 30 days. The crowd that doubted Taehyun now holds up a banner in awe. I believed you. Taehyun stands at the finish line, looking down at the defeated coach. Seems like I won the bet. He sits casually on the massive weight he carried, a cocky grin on his face. Now pay up and get lost. 30 days fly by. The long-awaited day has finally arrived. A massive stadium is swarmed with people and media. This is it, the player license test. A crowd of hopefuls gathers, their faces a mix of determination and anxiety. Talented prospects from all over the country have gathered here today. The famous awakened are here. There's Iron Fist, Hong Jung-wook, and Druid Lee Gilsan, both powerful A-rankers. The famous Thunder God from Busan, Shin Yunbok, an S-rank powerhouse. And the saint-like prodigy, rumored to have the highest merit among all candidates, Lim Ah-young, H45W76, and countless other talents are all scheduled to participate. The crowd is a sea of hopeful faces. A young woman with glasses and a camera struggles through the crowd. It's very far. This is Kim Reporter. Her skill is E-rank typing. If she fails to get a report today, she'll be fired. With this, I can't interview candidates, she despairs. Being an E-grade means she's nothing. I'm dead already, she wails. She looks around frantically. Why are there so many people? How can the candidates enter? Her eyes scan the sea of faces, and suddenly they lock onto one. A candidate? She sees Kim Taehyun walking through the throng with an air of complete confidence. Oh my God, she gasps. Taehyun looks annoyed by the crowd. This really sucks. A quick glance at the registry would show his name, player exam candidate Kim Taehyun, rank Si-ha-hyun. The reporter, seeing her one and only chance, slides across the ground and prostrates herself at his feet. Excuse me, can I take your interview? Taehyun can only look down, utterly confused. The stage is set. In a massive arena buzzing with the energy of the nation's most talented youth, the player license test is about to begin. Taehyun sprints down a hallway as an official calls out to him. "Participant Kim Taehyun, over here! The test is going to start." That desperate reporter almost made him late. "Yes, coming!" he calls back, a confident, calculating smirk on his face. He knows this is more than just a test. He has to build his image from the very beginning. He enters the main hall, joining the endless sea of participants, the air thick with nervous excitement. As they line up, a familiar voice gasps in surprise. Taehyun, wearing his participant badge, number 920, turns to the sound. It's Lim Ah-hyung, participant number 113. She's staring at him, completely shocked. "Kim Taehyun? Huh, class leader?" he replies coolly. She looks him up and down, taking in his new, broader shoulders. "What happened to you?" she asks. He just shrugs. "I just practiced a little bit." Ah-hyung is speechless. Just a little? She's heard about awakenings, how people can suddenly gain immense power. But how could someone change this much in just 1 month? It defies logic. She opens her mouth to ask about Lee Jung-jae, but it's too late. A loud voice echoes through the stadium. "Young heroes who bear the future of New South Korea. Congratulations for arriving here." A man with stylish blue hair and sunglasses appears on a giant screen. "This is the first trial place. Let me explain the rules." He instructs them to look at the numbered trial card pinned to their clothes. "In this trial, you must collect 5 cards, including yours. The meaning is crystal clear. If you lose your card and have none left, you are out." The announcer's voice booms with excitement. "This is what we call the Battle of the Trial Cards. The objective is simple: survive and collect 5 cards. The time limit is only 1 hour. The moment he finishes, the very floor beneath them begins to move and shift." The announcer lays down the final, terrifying rule. Every method is allowed except murder. The entire room transforms into a sprawling arena, and chaos instantly erupts. With a manic grin, he declares, "Okay, now, the first trial, start." It's a complete free-for-all. Participants are ambushed, beaten, and their cards are ripped away in a brutal fight for survival. The smarter players know to stay away from the biggest threats. At the top of that list is the S-Rank, Lim Ah-hyung. A group of attackers learns this the hard way as she unleashes a devastating wave of ice, freezing them solid with a single, furious scream. From the observation room, the association's staff watch, impressed. They praise her as a truly promising, saint-level candidate, but they note that this year's crop of talent is on another level entirely. Especially noteworthy is the S-Rank from Busan, Shin Yunbak. 20 minutes into the trial, he stands casually amidst a sea of defeated opponents, crackling with electricity. Not a single attack has managed to land. While the staff debate who is stronger, Go Tai-wook watches the screens with quiet confidence. He knows the S-Rankers are attracting attention, but he's seen something else, an unbelievable power that defies all logic. He thinks of Taehyun with an almost fanatical gleam in his eye. He's certain of it. "You can definitely dominate this trial easily. Show them all, Kim Taehyun. Show them your power." But on the arena floor, the scene is one of utter horror for Tae-wook. Taehyun is being relentlessly pummeled by another fighter. Tae-wook can only stammer, completely shocked. He watches as his prized candidate is frozen in a block of ice. Taehyun's opponent is the A-rank awakened Hang Jong-wook, whose skill is iron skin, and Taehyun, a C-rank, is defending with his own stone skin. Tae-wook begins to panic. Am I overrating him? He's being beaten by a mere A-ranker. He hasn't even avoided a single attack. But then the words echo in his head. Wait, he has not avoided a single attack? The horrifying truth dawns on him. This isn't a defeat, it's intentional. Taehyun shatters the ice and charges forward, taking another powerful punch head-on. The impact shatters the floor. Jung-wook is enraged. "You hooligan! Are you mocking me?" Taehyun spits a bit of blood but stands his ground, unfazed. Jung-wook screams at him. "Stone skin is a lower level than iron skin. Why would you face me head-on and deliberately suffer a meaningless attack?" Taehyun lets out a dry chuckle. "You talk a lot." His eyes glow with a faint, dangerous red, because this is very meaningful. A system window invisible to everyone else flashes in his mind. Stamina has increased by 1. Charm has increased by 1. He knows the predation seal on his body is still active. And even after a month of training, he knows he's still not strong enough. So how do you improve skills through training? You stimulate the body until it reaches its maximum capacity. You fight even when you've reached your limits. It's the most brutal form of exercise imaginable. So, not yet, he thinks, bracing for another blow. The training is not finished. He endures a brutal flurry of attacks. Finally, having absorbed all the punishment he needs, Taehyun counters. Jongwook can only stare in disbelief. This terrible boy. With one swift, decisive blow, Taehyun ends the fight, leaving the A-ranker unconscious on the ground. He stands over the body, bloodied but victorious, and calmly picks up his prize. He now holds 2 trial cards. In the observation room, Go Taewook erupts in manic laughter. Truly abnormal. His colleague can only look on, confused. Chief Go seems happy. The other staff members continue to praise the high level of the candidates, but Taewook only has eyes for one person. Kim Taehyun, truly unbelievable. Taehyun, however, knows his brutal training method has a major drawback. That last fight consumed far too much stamina. He needs a new plan. For now, he has to save his energy. Collecting cards from weaker participants is the best strategy. Taewook nods in approval from the observation room, but his smile instantly vanishes, replaced by sheer terror. What? Ch1064. The other observers are just as shocked. A C-rank awakened? Does he not know who he is facing? Is he trying to give up? Taehyun is walking straight towards a mountain of defeated bodies. A lazy voice cuts through the chaos. Who are you? Standing on the pile of unconscious fighters is Shin Yunbok, the S-rank thunder god. He's surrounded by crackling lightning, casually holding a massive stack of 107 trial cards. Hey, how many tickets do you have? He asks, almost bored. Sh1069. He turns, revealing his back is literally covered in stolen cards. Taehyun looks up at him, battered, bloody, and exhausted. A wry smile forms on his lips. Wow. As long as there are more than 5, that's fine. The arena explodes in a storm of lightning, the very floor cracking under the raw power. Shin Yunbok's assault is relentless, tearing through the reinforced ground with every single bolt. Taehyun is a blur of motion, desperately trying to find an opening in the onslaught of crackling energy. But the Thunder God isn't even trying. He sits casually with a lazy smirk on his face, surrounded by an aura of pure power. For him, this isn't a fight, it's a game. Taehyun throws up a hand, trying to deflect a bolt, but the sheer speed is overwhelming. He's forced back on his stone skin skill, the hardened rock barely holding up against the S-ranker's attacks. The two clash in a storm of blue light, a high-speed dance where Taehyun is always one step behind. Every move he makes is met with another blast, the ground erupting right under his feet. He grits his teeth, battered and bruised. Even in this desperate situation, he can't help but admire his opponent's incredible speed. Yunbok just grins, his confidence absolute. He taunts him, his own form a blur of motion, saying he's too slow to even see the attacks coming. Another section of the floor is vaporized, testament to Yunbok's casual destruction. Taehyun slides to a stop, digging his heels in as the sheer pressure of the assault forces him backward. He catches his breath, his face grim. The S-rank from Busan, the infamous Thunder God, he was proving to be more than a little difficult to deal with, crackling with power as he held out his hand in a silent challenge. Taehyun quickly analyzes the situation. Yunbok is shrouded in powerful lightning that seems to block any attack he could possibly launch. And it's not just a defense. The guy can fight at any range with devastating power. With his predation skill unusable, how could he possibly break through? Yunbok's grin widens as he goads him. What's wrong? Why don't you attack? Come on, come at me. In a flash, Yunbok lunges forward, his fist wreathed in lightning. Taehyun meets the blow head-on, the impact sending a paralyzing shockwave through his entire body. The two are locked in a furious exchange, a storm of light and sound erupting around them. But the sheer force of Yunbok's lightning is just too much to handle. Taehyun is sent flying, completely overpowered by the relentless assault. Yunbok lets out a wild, joyous laugh. You think you can run from me? He roars, unleashing another massive wave of electricity. Taehyun screams as the lightning engulfs him. Yoonbok's mocking voice cuts through the chaos. "You were the one asking for a fight, weren't you? Don't run away now." With a desperate roar, Taehyun throws up a massive makeshift shield of stone, bracing for what feels like a final blow. "Stupid." Yoonbok's voice is cold. He shatters the shield with a contemptuous flick of his finger, the impact exploding in a starburst of light. A wave of pure energy washes over the entire arena. Yoonbok follows up with a devastating flurry of lightning-fast kicks and punches. Taehyun crosses his arms, barely managing to block the final blow as his body screams in protest. As the dust settles, a massive explosion of light marks the end of the devastating combo. Taehyun is sent skidding back across the broken floor, gasping for air. Yoonbok lets out another laugh, this time one of genuine surprise. "So, you can take that too?" "Impressive," he grins, a flicker of true excitement finally showing in his eyes. He never thought he'd meet someone like this here. Until now, everyone else he faced was too busy running away from him in fear. He thought that in this entire trial, only the S-Rank Limma Hung could possibly give him a good fight. But now a sadistic grin twists his face. He's found another fun toy to play with. He fires off another bolt of pure energy, expecting it to hit its mark. But this time, something is different. The bolt explodes in midair, drawing a spray of blood. Yoonbok freezes, completely stunned by what just happened. A chunk of the arena floor, perfectly reflecting Taehyun's form, falls to the ground, shattered. He doesn't understand. He's still trying to process it, thinking his attacks are invincible, when another piece of debris comes flying right at him. It slams into him, the raw impact sending a shockwave of pain through his body. He stumbles backward, choking in disbelief. For the first time, he's actually been hurt. This was Taehyun's gambit. He knew from the start that his stone skin skill couldn't penetrate the Thunder God's armor. Pushing it to its limit would only get it broken under the incredible pressure of Yoonbok's attacks. But the arena itself was different. It was specially made to withstand the strength of the Awakened. Unlike his skill, when this floor is destroyed, the pieces don't just disappear. And in that moment, a plan formed in his mind. If he could use the debris as a weapon, he might just be able to break through that impenetrable lightning. A wild, feral grin spreads across Taehyun's face as he glares at his opponent, his plan now in motion. Yoonbok is seething, blood dripping from his mouth. You coward," he snarls, his pride wounded. Taehyun ignores him, kicking another chunk of the floor and sending it flying like a cannonball, knocking Yoonbok off his feet again. His pride shattered, Yoonbok roars in pure rage, screaming that Taehyun is nothing. The entire arena erupts in a storm of untamed, furious lightning. The game is over. The real fight has just begun. This is the face of a god brought to earth. Shin Yoonbok, the S-Rank prodigy, lies broken and spitting blood, his trial cards scattered around him like worthless litter. And there's the one who did it. Kim Taehyun, bruised and bloodied, but his eyes hold no joy. They're cold, calculating. This wasn't a victory, it was a transaction. And business is now concluded. In the control room, monitors flare with power, but not from the fight they just saw. In the distance, a massive blast of pure ice erupts. Something else is happening. The staff are in disbelief. A S-class, defeated by a C-class. They murmur Taehyun's name, wondering what kind of monster they're watching. Go Taewook, Taehyun's sponsor, lets out a long sigh of relief and awe. He thinks to himself that this kid certainly knows how to make people worry, but he is undeniably special. But then his expression freezes. A single bead of sweat rolls down his face. He's seen something on the monitor that drains all the color from his face. Back in the arena, Taehyun stands over the defeated Thunder God, calmly collecting the trial cards from the floor. With the cards secured, his objective is complete. He thinks to himself that it's finally over. Now, all he has to do is wait. But it's not over. Out of nowhere, a volley of razor-sharp ice spears slices through the air, aimed directly at him. Taehyun barely reacts in time, twisting his exhausted body out of the way. The attack was sudden, silent, and completely unexpected. He's caught completely off guard. His body is already at its absolute limit from the fight with Yoonbok. He can't handle another opponent. He whips his head around, trying to find the source of the attack as the very air around him begins to crackle and freeze. In the distance, a swirling orb of freezing energy forms, pulling in the shattered pieces of the arena floor as the temperature plummets. Taehyun watches, his eyes narrowed. He can feel the immense, unstable power radiating from the growing sphere. Intricate snowflake patterns form in the air, a beautiful but deadly sight. This is magic on a completely different level. The orb finally stabilizes, becoming a miniature blizzard contained in a perfect sphere, pulsing with raw, untamed magic. With a deafening crack, it explodes outward, creating a massive, towering wall of jagged ice that seals off the entire area. And from the freezing mist, a figure calmly walks forward. It's a girl in a school uniform, her blue ponytail swaying as she approaches. Taehyun looks up, his battered face tense. The girl's eyes are glowing with an icy blue light, her expression dead serious. She is not here to talk. A name escapes his lips in a whisper of disbelief. Lim Ah-hyung? He can't believe it. Why now? He wonders how long she was watching, hidden from view. He was so focused on one S-rank, he never even sensed the other. She looks at him, her voice as cold as the ice around them. She says that she believes power comes with responsibility. Ah-hyung continues her judgment, telling him that without that responsibility, power is just violence. She admits she never imagined he was strong enough to take down Shin Yunbok. And then something clicks in her mind. She realizes this must be how he defeated Lee Jung-jae back in the school gym. With that realization, all hesitation vanishes. She thrusts her hand forward, and the air around her erupts with power. Taehyun's eyes widen. He feels the immense pressure bearing down on him. He is in no condition for another fight with an S-rank. A massive wave of ice crashes towards him, shattering the ground in its path. Her power is a pure force of nature. He's thrown backward, completely helpless against the raw force of her attack. The ice smashes into him, engulfing his body in a freezing explosion. Taehyun grits his teeth. This isn't just ice, it's explosive. Hiding is useless when her attacks cover the entire area. Ah-hyung presses her assault, moving with fluid grace as she unleashes another wave of power, giving him no time to recover. She screams at him, her voice filled with a sense of betrayal. That time in the gym, I believed you. I believed you were different from Lee Jung-jae, that you wouldn't be so selfish. Each word is punctuated by another devastating blast of ice. Her eyes glow with fury. But watching you fight just now, I finally understand what you did to him, and to Bae-hyuk-soo. Everything. It was all your doing. She traps him inside a massive churning pillar of ice, her judgment absolute. Taehyun is tossed around like a rag doll as the ice shatters and reforms, cutting into him from every angle. The ground explodes as she slams him down, the shards of ice a testament to her fury. Standing over his broken form, she tells him that using skills without permission is a crime, that his victims are still in the hospital. She acknowledges that he suffered too, so she'll give him an appropriate punishment herself instead of reporting him. But her voice drops, delivering her final verdict. You better withdraw from the player trial. You do not deserve to be a player. Something inside Taehyun snaps. Through the pain and exhaustion, a single thought burns through his mind. Who is she to decide that? He forces himself to his feet, trembling with a mixture of rage and sheer willpower. He won't let her self-righteous crusade stop him now. He spits back at her. You talk about responsibility? Qualification? You couldn't even stop Lee Jung-jae's cruelty when it was right in front of you. He glares, a bitter smirk on his face. In the end, you just want to play the hero. Don't be so pathetic. His words hit her like a physical blow. Her eyes widen, her perfect moral world shattered by his cold, brutal logic. A dangerous calm settles over her face. So that's your answer. Then there's no need to hold back anymore. An incredible amount of power begins to gather in her hand. She rises into the air, surrounded by a pillar of light, her eyes glowing with absolute power. I'll end this now, Kim Taehyun. Taehyun watches her, knowing he is in deep, deep trouble. He runs through his options. Stone skin is useless, shattered hundreds of times. His own hand is a crumbling mess of rock. Stealth is pointless. Her area of effect attack would cancel it instantly. His Monarch's heart skill is active, but the stat boost isn't nearly enough to turn this tide. Predation is still sealed, and he has no mana left for paralysis. He's completely out of tricks. He realizes there's only one thing left to do. With a desperate roar, he charges forward, straight into the heart of the storm. For a split second, their eyes lock. The righteous saint versus the pragmatic monster. An unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. Ahung unleashes everything she has. The world turns white. A massive explosion of ice and light consumes the entire arena, shattering everything in its path. All we hear is Taehyun's desperate, fading thought. This is the only thing left. Back in the control room, the staff shield their eyes from the blinding light, yelling that they can't see anything. Go. Taewook stares at the white screen, his face a mask of pure dread, whispering Taehyun's name into the chaos. His eyes are wide with shock, unable to comprehend the level of power he just witnessed. The other observers just look up, stunned into silence as the light finally begins to fade. As the smoke clears, the aftermath is revealed. The virtual ground is completely obliterated. A huge crater of jagged ice is all that remains. Ah Young is still standing, but Taehyun is gone. Ah Young stands frozen in place. Her ultimate attack is complete. She has won. Or has she? A bead of sweat rolls down her cheek. She feels a presence directly behind her, a warm breath on her neck. Her eyes widen in confusion. That confusion turns to sheer primal terror. In that last, desperate moment, he wasn't charging to attack her. He was charging to get close. And now, he's right behind her, a predator poised to strike. Back in the real world, the injured candidates are treated immediately. Taehyun sits quietly, covered in bandages. Ah-young was paralyzed, but since she never lost her trial cards, she officially passed the first phase. As for Taehyun, with 7 cards and the unbelievable achievement of defeating 2 S-rank prodigies, he's instantly become a legend. As he walks through the waiting area, he can feel every eye on him. He's no longer an unknown. The other candidates whisper as he passes, unable to believe this is the C-rank who took down both Shin Yun-bok and Lim Ah-young. Taehyun ignores them. He's already plotting again, impressed by the association's healing abilities and wondering how he can get one for himself. Suddenly, a furious voice roars his name. Kim! Taehyun! It's Shin Yun-bok. He's fully recovered, crackling with lightning, and he looks absolutely enraged. You coward bastard! He screams. Taehyun is surprised to see him. Yun-bok glares, sneering. You can't use the same tricks here. The other candidates gather, sensing another fight. A revenge match between the Thunder God and the mysterious C-rank. Some even start cheering, laughing that one less candidate would be good for them. Yun-bok snaps. He turns on the crowd, his voice booming. Just mind your own business, and shut up. He unleashes a wave of electricity that sends them all flying. This isn't entertainment. This is personal. He turns back to Taehyun, his eyes wild. Come on, let's fight fairly this time. But Taehyun just gives him a lazy, arrogant smirk. Without that lowly trick of yours, let me teach you who's on top. Yun-bok laughs and lunges, but suddenly freezes mid-air. A strange, shadowy energy wraps around him, crushing him from all sides. A new power has just entered the room. Yun-bok is slammed into the floor, screaming in agony as the pressure intensifies. Even Taehyun grunts in pain, the immense force pressing down on him. A figure walks calmly through the hall, stepping over the bodies of the candidates. Yun-bok just zapped, muttering about how inexperienced kids always cause trouble. With a sigh, he steps on another candidate's head, complaining that they can never let things go quietly. The remaining candidates tremble, recognizing the newcomer's overwhelming power. It's the proctor, Park Son-jin. He pushes up his sunglasses with a smirk, an active S-rank player. The others recognize him as one of the strongest players in the association, a potential future SS rank. Song-jin looks around lazily. What? There's someone who can still stand? His eyes land on Taehyun. Casually, he forms a ball of crackling dark energy in his hand. He unleashes it, not as an attack, but as a wave of pure pressure aimed directly at Taehyun. Taehyun struggles to keep his footing. He knew S-class awakened and actual S-rank players were different, but he never imagined the gap was this huge. Sunjin looks genuinely surprised. Look at this guy. He's still standing? He notes that even some veteran players couldn't take that much. A cruel grin spreads across his face. If so, then let's see. He starts to gather even more energy, ready to ramp up the pressure. But a medic runs up, shouting his name, Player Park Sungjin. What are you doing? She accuses him of attacking students who just recovered, trying to weed them out before the second trial. Sungjin scoffs. Get rid of them? I'm just disciplining them. The other candidates don't buy it, calling him a liar. Even while being crushed, Taehyun speaks up, threatening to report him. Sungjin's grin widens. This kid has guts. He drops the pressure and asks calmly, "You, what's your name?" Taehyun catches his breath, his voice steady despite the sweat pouring down his face. Kim Taehyun. The name clicks. Sungjin realizes this is the infamous C-Rank who defeated the two S-Rank prodigies. A genuine, intrigued smile finally appears on his face. He thinks to himself that, finally, an impressive candidate has appeared after a long time. Taehyun, ever the strategist, presses his advantage. You're targeting the S-Rank players, aren't you? He's not just enduring, he's analyzing. Sungjin just laughs, turning to walk away. I'll be waiting, he calls back. He's found his new favorite toy. Taehyun watches him leave, a nervous sweat on his brow. That was way too close. The medics who were trying to help him suddenly scatter, terrified. Taehyun just sighs and tells them to get out. Later, all remaining candidates are gathered in a large, forested area with Park Sungjin on a platform before them. The crowd is silent, tense with anticipation for what comes next. Sungjin stands before 3 glowing portals, ready to begin. Have you all finished resting? He asks with a grin. Okay then, we will start the second trial. He gestures to the portals. The location is this gate in front of you. A D-rank dungeon. A wave of shock ripples through the crowd. A dungeon? You mean a real one with monsters? Sungjin explains the rules. They'll enter in groups of 5, each with a player supervising their exploration. He says their combat, observation, and even first aid skills will be evaluated, with all gear provided by the association. Now, take turns and enter the gate, he commands. Taehyun listens, a thoughtful expression on his face. He thinks to himself that even a beginner should be able to handle a D-rank dungeon, especially with a pro supervising. It sounds safe enough. But then, a cold, dark memory from his past life hits him like a freight train. Double dungeon. Apocalypto. Please, he thinks, don't let it be that. He remembers it clearly. Inside this D-rank dungeon was the first ever double dungeon. The first explorer party, including their supervisor, was completely annihilated. He knows he can't warn anyone. They'd never believe him. And even if they did, he would immediately become a suspect. He clenches his fist. It's a shame, but he has to focus. As long as he isn't part of that doomed first party, he can find a way to survive. He steels his resolve, looking out at the trees. He'll just have to navigate this disaster himself. Okay, he decides. A look of grim determination settles on his face as he prepares to be assigned to his group. Image, GH1079, he's placed in a group with 4 other candidates, led by a professional-looking supervisor with a mustache and glasses. The supervisor introduces himself as an A-rank mythology player and asks, "Shall we leave now?" Taehyun's world comes crashing down. He recognizes this man, the one who discovered the Apocalypto Double Dungeon and was its very first victim. He's been assigned to the exact party that gets wiped out. His thought is simple and filled with dread. This is bad. Trapped in a dungeon he knows is a death sentence, Taehyun's worst fears are about to become reality as the first monsters emerge from the shadows. Inside the cave, the candidates spring into action, their weapons glowing as they meet the charge of the dungeon's rocky guardians. It's a flurry of desperate combat, the inexperienced team fighting with everything they have. Their supervisor, Ma Do-hak, watches with a pleased expression, clapping his hands. Bravo! He walks towards them as they finish off the last monster, his voice full of praise. Everything was great. He tells them they have great instincts, and that with this performance, their qualifications as players are confirmed. The candidates are flattered, nervously thanking the A-rank player. They feel confident, proud of themselves. But Taehyun is silent, a storm raging inside him. Out of all the teams, he had to be stuck with the very first party to explore this place. He's walking with dead men. He glances at the supervisor and the ring on his finger. Of course, it's the unique Sage's ring, the same one worn by the first explorer of this dungeon in his past life. The Sage's ring glows with a faint red light, a powerful and rare artifact. It's a unique rank item that boosts all the wearer's stats by 10 points each. It makes the user powerful, but not invincible. Taehyun looks at the party, a cold dread washing over him. He knows Apocalypto is an S-rank dungeon. With his own skills still sealed, getting involved now means certain death. His fists tremble. He has to do something. Somehow, he has to prevent them from finding the entrance. The group comes to a halt, one of the candidates looking around in confusion. They've reached a fork in the cave. The path splits in several directions. This is it. This is his chance. One of the candidates asks Ma Dohak what they should do. The supervisor just laughs, saying it's natural to run into situations like this. He raises a finger, suggesting they take a vote. But before he can even finish, Taehyun bolts. He takes off down one of the paths without a word, leaving the team stunned. "Candidate Kim Taehyun?" the supervisor shouts after him, panicked. "Individual actions are dangerous. Come back now." But Taehyun just calls back over his shoulder. "It doesn't matter, just come this way." He's not asking, he's ordering. The supervisor sighs in frustration and tells the others to follow. Taehyun's mind is racing. He has to take a different path than the one from his past life. He pushes himself, sliding down a rocky slope, his only thought to avoid the route that leads to Apocalypto. As the team scrambles to keep up, Taehyun runs with desperate certainty. He can't let it happen, not again. He rounds a corner, a determined grin on his face. This time, let's go this. He freezes. Right in front of him is a dead end, and in that dead end is a swirling purple vortex of energy. A gate. The rest of the team catches up, their eyes wide. What is this? A gate? They can't believe it. Why is there another gate inside a dungeon? A single, horrifying realization dawns on Taehyun, the words catching in his throat. Double dungeon. Apocalypto. He stares at the gate, his plan in shambles. He took another road and still ended up here. It seems fate is unavoidable. Two of the more reckless candidates start walking towards the gate, intrigued by the discovery. "Everyone, stop!" Taehyun yells, putting himself between them and the portal. He turns to them, his voice laced with urgency. "Can't you see? There's another gate inside a dungeon. This isn't normal." He looks directly at the supervisor. "In this case, we have to report it. Isn't that the protocol, player Ma Dohak?" Ma Dohak strokes his mustache thoughtfully. This is the first time I've seen a case like this." He agrees that the proper procedure is to report it to headquarters. For a moment, Taehyun feels a flicker of hope. But a greedy, ambitious glint appears in the supervisor's eye. This time, let's go in. The other candidates are shocked. Ma Dohak explains that he understands Taehyun's point, but he argues the magic from the gate doesn't feel dangerous, and besides, it's only a D-rank dungeon. And if something does happen, he, an A-rank player, is there to protect them. His eyes gleam with excitement as he dangles a better test score in front of them, promising a reward for exploring the anomaly. Taehyun can't believe what he's hearing. "Are you serious right now?" he shouts, pointing at the supervisor. Ma Dohak glares back. "Is that something you can say? A candidate who doesn't even understand teamwork?" The other candidates quickly side with the supervisor, telling Taehyun to fix his attitude. They see a rebel, not a savior. Taehyun looks at their foolish, trusting faces, a single tear of frustration rolling down his cheek as he mutters, "You idiots." Ma Dohak turns back to the gate. So, the decision has been made. Taehyun makes one last desperate attempt, grabbing the supervisor's arm. "Wait, player Ma Dohak, please think again." But the man just swats his hand away. The supervisor's eyes are wide with annoyance. He's made up his mind. He leads the four gullible candidates straight into the swirling gate. The light envelops them, and they disappear. Taehyun is left alone, staring at the empty space. He knows what comes next. Inside, Ma Dohak looks around, a flicker of doubt on his face for the first time. What is this place? They are in a massive, red-hued hall. One of the candidates asks, "Is this really a D-rank dungeon?" Something feels very wrong. The space is immense, like a cathedral built for giants. A long walkway stretches out before them, bathed in an ominous red glow. The architecture is ancient and terrifying, nothing like the simple cave they just left. At the far end of the hall, shrouded in smoke, sits a massive statue on a throne. It's a statue of an ancient king or knight, its head bowed, holding a giant sword. A palpable aura of death hangs in the air. The candidates start to panic. What is happening? Player Ma Dohak. The supervisor can only mutter, "What the hell?" Taehyun, who followed them in, shouts, "Everyone, shut up and look ahead." He cuts off their complaints. Something's coming. From the shadows around the throne, figures begin to materialize, armored knights wreathed in dark energy. The party looks on in horror. Rank monsters? Death Knights! One of them screams. Why are they here? Even Ma Dohak's face is pale with sweat, his confidence completely shattered. But he's still a veteran. He shakes off his fear and screams, Everyone, get ready to fight! A Death Knight lunges forward, its sword a blur of motion. Two knights clash their swords, unleashing a shockwave of energy. The blast sends the unprepared party flying. Ma Dohak gets to his feet, cursing the monsters as he gathers magical energy in his hands. He unleashes a wave of fire that engulfs one of the knights. The spell traps the knights in a cage of fiery seals, holding them in place. Image H19068. But the magic barely holds them. One knight is already breaking free. Ma Dohak shouts, This time, attack together! The team, rallied by his command, lunges forward. He directs them to use fire and lightning to blind their enemies in a coordinated barrage of magic. The tanks move to the front while the damage dealers intercept the knights, giving them no room to advance. The hall explodes in a chaotic storm of magic and steel as the candidates fight for their very lives. With a final, combined effort, they manage to shatter the last of the Death Knights. The supervisor and the candidates stand amidst the rubble, breathing heavily but victorious. One of the candidates, high on adrenaline, starts laughing. Is that all? They're nothing. Let them come again. He asked for it. The entire party freezes as a tremor runs through the hall. From the shadows, more figures emerge. Another group of Death Knights, but these ones are different. They're larger, their armor more ornate, and the dark energy radiating from them is far more powerful. This isn't just another wave. A close-up on one of the elite knights reveals an aura of pure, suffocating menace. The real test has just begun. Just when they thought they'd survived the worst, the real nightmare begins. The party stands frozen, their brief victory shattered. Before them, a new legion of Death Knights marches forward, their armor more menacing, their presence radiating a power far greater than what they just faced. There are dozens of them, a seemingly endless army of elite warriors. The hope that had just sparked is instantly extinguished. The candidate who had foolishly taunted the dungeon moments ago is now screaming in pure terror. One of his teammates is already on the ground, trying to crawl away from one corpse, only to be faced with an entire army. Taehyun stands amidst the carnage, his brow furrowed. His instincts, honed by a lifetime of future battles, are screaming at him. Something is off. He looks at the rubble of the defeated knights. The destruction is real, but something about this situation just doesn't add up. Even the supervisor, Ma Dohak, is breathing heavily, his face pale. Damn it, he mutters, looking at the approaching horde. Every time they defeat one, more just appear. The situation feels hopeless. He glances back at his team. They're all on their last legs, battered and bleeding. He realizes with a sinking feeling that at this rate, they are all going to die. Taehyun walks forward, stepping over the debris. Player Ma Dohak, he says calmly, something's off here. The supervisor looks at him, seeing not a terrified rookie, but a seasoned warrior. Ma Dohak's mind starts racing. Who on earth is this guy? He's not even tired, and he was the first to realize the gate was dangerous. Then it hits him. Their stats were higher than they should have been. It was because of Taehyun's secret party buff. Without it, they wouldn't have lasted this long. Is he really a C-rank awakened? Ma Dohak wonders, pushing the suspicion aside. What do you mean by something's off? Taehyun looks at the new wave of enemies. I'm just guessing, he says, but those are not Death Knights. The party is stunned into silence. The candidates erupt in confusion. What kind of nonsense is that? Then what have we been fighting this whole time? Taehyun turns his back to them, grabbing the hilt of a fallen knight's sword. I'm going to find that out now. He activates his stone skin skill, his arm turning to jagged rock as he grips the massive weapon. With a powerful leap, he launches himself directly at the illusionary army. He brings the heavy blade down with all his might, aiming for the center of their formation. The blade hits nothing. It passes right through them, shattering on the ground with a massive shockwave. The illusions flicker violently. The image of the knights dissolves into smoke, revealing the empty stone floor beneath. Taiyun lands gracefully, confirming his suspicion. The army was a fake, but the trap isn't over. One of the illusionary knights behind him raises its weapon to strike. Taehyun dodges as another candidate attacks the illusion from the side. Her attack flies past the illusion and hits the giant statue on the throne. The statue glows brightly, absorbing the attack. As the light fades, the statue remains completely unharmed. Taehyun realizes the statue is the source. It's projecting the illusions. With this new information, he weaves through the remaining fakes, no longer fighting them. He dodges their attacks effortlessly, knowing they can't actually harm him. He slams his hand on the ground, channeling his own mana into the floor. Cracks of purple energy spread out from his hand, disrupting the magic of the trap. The entire room shatters like glass. The candidates look around in confusion. What is this? An illusion? Ma Do-hak realizes the truth, his face pale. It was an illusion trap, Taehyun explains calmly as he walks back. It was a trap designed to drain their energy and break their will by making them fight imaginary enemies. The others can't believe it. They struggled so hard, pushed themselves to the brink, all against a mere illusion. The psychological blow is immense. Ma Do-hak grabs Taehyun, his voice shaking with awe and suspicion. How did you know this was a trap? You shouldn't have ever fought a Death Knight, so how? Taehyun just gives him a cool, dismissive look. Well, even if I don't know much about them, of course, there's no way they would have been that weak. The insult lands perfectly. Taehyun is saying that real A-rank monsters would have killed them instantly. Taehyun turns and walks away. Let's get moving, before we all get killed for real. With no other choice, the exhausted party follows their unlikely new leader, Ma Do-hak, using his ring to light the way. The illusion had faded, but their situation was no better. The dungeon had transformed into a twisting, treacherous labyrinth. The injuries they'd suffered fighting the illusions were real, and getting worse. They couldn't just wait for rescue. Their only hope was to find the dungeon's exit. Ma Do-hak, using the light from his sage's ring, finally finds something. Found it, he gasps. Before them, set into the cave wall, is a massive, ornate door. Their escape is beyond here. The candidates are hesitant. A door? Isn't it dangerous? Ma Do-hak admits it might be, but if we don't open it, we'll only perish here. With grim determination, he accepts their fate. The heavy doors creak open, revealing a blinding red light. Ma Do-hak pushes the doors wide, stepping into the unknown. He stops dead. The room is not an exit. It's a massive amphitheater, and on the floor are the real, mangled bodies of the monsters they thought they defeated. At the far end, a lone figure kneels, its massive sword planted in the ground. One of the candidates lets out a shaky laugh. A Death Knight? Haha, hey, there's just one. But then, from the shadows behind the first knight, more figures rise. Dozens of them. An entire legion. The party's momentary relief turns to absolute despair. All around the amphitheater, torches ignite, revealing rows upon rows of skeletal mages and archers. Below, an army of Death Knights stands at attention, their swords ready. It's an entire undead kingdom, a full-scale army waiting for them. The sheer number of enemies is overwhelming. The party is hopelessly outnumbered. What is all this? A candidate stammers, his face ashen. Are these all Death Knights? A voice, ancient and powerful, echoes from the throne at the center of it all. You lowly humans came all the way here, huh? The master of the dungeon, a colossal skeletal figure wreathed in purple flame, speaks again. So be it. His eyes flare with terrifying power. Let the battle begin. The system identifies him, master of the Double Gate Apocalyptos, Lord of the Death Knights. Rank S. The true test has finally begun. Trapped in a colossal throne room, facing an army of the dead, Taehyun and his party can only stare in horror as the master of the dungeon laughs at their despair. The Lord of the Death Knights, a massive skeletal figure wreathed in purple flame, savors the moment. Now, let's, Esau, get ready to start. The S-rank boss of Apocalypto gives the order, and the slaughter is about to begin. His army of Death Knights responds instantly, their feet thundering against the stone as they advance. They move as one, a wall of steel and dark magic. But instead of swarming them, one knight steps forward, its glowing sword pointed directly at the party. It's issuing a challenge. The candidates are confused. What's going on? Madohak, grim-faced, understands. It seems they want a one-on-one duel. A duel? The candidates break down. One starts sobbing, "I can't do it. I don't have any magic power left." The illusion trap did its job perfectly, leaving them shattered. Taehyun grabs the panicking candidate, trying to get through to him. "Calm down. Our goal isn't to fight, it's to escape." But it's too late. The panic is contagious. The candidates break formation and run. "I'd rather go back," one screams. "I don't want to die." The Death Knight doesn't wait. It swings its massive, glowing blade. The blade cuts through the air, a blur of purple energy aimed at the fleeing candidates. The attack hits home. They're all knocked to the ground, blood flying everywhere. Their will to fight is gone. But as Madohak lies bleeding, he looks over and sees one person still standing. It's Taehyun. Madohak screams his name, a new resolve in his eyes. "I will buy us some time." "Find the exit," he yells, unleashing a massive magical barrier to hold back the knights. One of the other candidates, still arrogant, scoffs at him. "Magic school? What nonsense." But Taehyun snaps back, "Shut up, don't act so high and mighty." Taehyun's harsh words silence him. The candidate is left staring, finally realizing how out of his depth he is. Madohak looks at Taehyun, a sad, regretful expression on his face. "I wanted to be an S-rank player." He confesses his ambition. "But no matter how much I trained, I only felt farther from it. This was an opportunity for me. If I could resolve this, I might be treated as good as an S-rank." His greed had blinded him, even though it ended up like this. A bitter, self-deprecating laugh escapes his lips. A Death Knight breaks through his barrier, its sword aimed right at him. He raises a hand, casting one last spell, a glowing green seal of protection. The magic deflects the blow, but the force of the impact still sends him reeling. He looks at Taehyun, his voice filled with urgency and respect. "But you are different, Kim Taehyun. I hate to admit it, but you have the talent, so run away. Take the injured and escape as far as you can." He turns to face the horde alone. It's the role of a supervisor like me to hold him off. His eyes blaze with power as he shouts, "It's the role of magic school." He unleashes his full power in one final, brilliant explosion. Taehyun can only watch, stunned. Magic school. He turns to check on the others, a grim look on his face. But it's too late. When Madohak said to take the injured, they were already gone. The female candidate lies dead on the ground. The arrogant candidate is frozen in terror, watching the supervisor's last stand. An instant later, a Death Knight cuts him down. Another one falls right after him. In a matter of seconds, Madohak is overwhelmed. A Death Knight's blade plunges through his chest. His glasses shatter as he hits the floor, his life fading away. He lies motionless in a pool of his own blood. The A-rank supervisor is dead. Taehyun is now the only one left. The bodies of his entire party litter the ground around him. He is completely alone. He glances over his shoulder, his eyes narrowed. The hunt is now focused on him. A Death Knight's blade, dripping with the blood of his teammates, is raised to strike. The knight stands over him, ready to deliver the final blow. It challenges him to a duel. Taehyun looks at the corpse of Madohak. He sees the man's shattered glasses, a symbol of broken pride and a final noble sacrifice. Taehyun gets to his feet, facing the legion of knights alone. The lead knight raises its sword. It flicks a drop of blood from its blade towards him. The duel has been declared. Taehyun's eyes widen. He knows he has no chance as he is now. He looks down at the ground near Madohak's body. He sees it, the sage's ring glowing softly amidst the rubble. "This is magic schools." A flicker of Madohak's final wish flashes through his mind. A knight charges forward, sword raised high. A single tear escapes Taehyun's eye. A moment of grief for the fool who saved him. He dives for the ring, snatching it from the ground just as the knight's sword crashes down where he just stood. He clutches the ring in his hand. There's no other way to survive now. He shoves the ring onto his finger, a desperate plea echoing in his mind. "Please, wake up!" A massive surge of red and black energy explodes from the ring as it settles on his finger. The knights are blown back by the sheer force of the released power. Taehyun is engulfed in the energy, his body convulsing as the power floods through him. Even the master of Apocalypto looks on in shock, completely bewildered. A torrent of crimson energy rips through Taehyun's body, raw and untamed. The boss roars, "What? Wake up, you!" System messages flash in Taehyun's vision. The sage's ring is equipped. All stats increased by 10. All conditions have been met. And then, the final, most important message. The seal of Devourer is released. A terrifying, predatory smile spreads across Taehyun's face as his eyes glow with a menacing red light. The game has just changed. This is the moment everything changes. As the sage's ring slides onto his finger, a torrent of power floods Taehyun's body. A system message confirms it. All conditions have been met. The seal on predation has been lifted. His eyes snap open, glowing with a terrifying red light as the raw, untamed energy of his true skill consumes him. Back in the throne room, the sole surviving Death Knight turns to face the source of this incredible power surge. It's a cataclysm. Taehyun, now wreathed in a storm of crimson energy, has become the center of a vortex of destruction. Tendrils of this dark power lash out, tearing through the remaining knights with absolute ease. A single, powerful knight lunges at him, but Taehyun doesn't even flinch. The predator has become the prey. He catches the knight's arm, his own hand glowing with the menacing energy of Devour. In an instant, the knight is consumed, its body and soul absorbed into Taehyun's being. His mind races. Devouring a target takes about 10 seconds. It's powerful, but it's not instant. He can't just depend on this one skill. He has to use everything. He activates Stone Skin, coating his body in defensive armor. All the skills he's collected, all the stats he's accumulated, they all have to come into play now. "I'm going to use every last bit," he roars, blocking a flaming sword with his armored arm. He knows it's his only chance. Only then can I survive this. He unleashes a shockwave, blasting away the knights that surround him. The ground shatters under the force of his newfound power. He rises from the smoke, a massive, crackling purple sword in his hand, a weapon manifested from pure energy. Even he is surprised by this. His senses are heightened, his body screaming with power he's never felt before. He charges straight for the boss, who is now gathering a massive ball of dark energy. But the boss is on another level. The air fills with thousands of flaming skulls, a torrential downpour of death. Taehyun is caught in the storm, blades of dark energy slicing at him from every direction. It's an overwhelming assault, a relentless barrage of S-rank power that tears through his defenses. He grits his teeth, roaring in defiance as the energy rips him apart. The boss unleashes its full power, a massive wave of dark energy that slams into Taehyun, consuming him completely. A beam of pure destructive force shoots across the throne room. Taehyun is pinned, crucified by dozens of ethereal blades, completely at the boss's mercy. The master's voice echoes in his mind. "You are powerful. However, that is your limit." With a final blast of power, Taehyun is slammed into the ground, defeated. The weapons he created shatter into dust around him. The master of Apocalypto calmly approaches his fallen foe, its curiosity piqued. "I have one last question for you. Who bestowed that power upon you?" Taehyun screams as the boss's powerful aura crushes him, forcing an answer. But a system window appears. A mysterious power is resisting the S-rank mental attack. Taehyun continues to fight back, his own willpower pushing against the overwhelming presence. The master is surprised. "I knew that unlike regular humans, you could understand our language. So tell me, what is that power of yours?" As Taehyun's consciousness fades, he's pulled into a memory. He stands before a towering, four-armed demon lord from his past life, a symbol of his failure. It's a demon lord from his past life, a symbol of his failure. Inside its hollow chest, he can see the skulls of its countless victims. He remembers himself back then, just a powerless porter. He sees the bodies of his fallen comrades, heroes he once looked up to, all dead. He sees the face of a man he respected, now lifeless in a pool of blood. He remembers the overwhelming despair, the feeling of absolute hopelessness. He thinks to himself, nothing is different than how it was back then. He starts to question everything. This skill, understanding monsters, what is it? He had a second chance, but in the end, nothing changed. He still failed. Why? In the darkness of his mind, the master's question echoes again. Why did the king give me his power? A gentle, powerful voice answers from within his memory. I'm certain I already told you. Taehyun's eyes snap open in his memory. He's back at the end of his first life, floating in a sea of light, Before him stands the king, a being of pure, brilliant light. The king tells him, "I was simply moved by your determination. You don't need to change." Taehyun listens, the words resonating deep in his soul. Just move forward. Back in the present, Taehyun's eyes open, no longer red with rage, but glowing with an intense, burning purpose. The master senses the shift. "It seems you no longer have the strength to answer." "Pathetic human," the boss sneers, raising its hand for the final blow. "This is your end." But something is wrong. The boss stops, a flicker of confusion in its glowing eyes. A single, ethereal red blade hangs in the air, having blocked its attack. More blades appear, surrounding the boss, a manifestation of Taehyun's unyielding will. The boss looks down, confused. That's, from the ground, a monstrous, shadowy beast erupts. "Ha ha ha! You insect! Trying to go berserk in that condition?" Taehyun screams, pushing past every limit he has as his mana skyrockets. The boss lets out a manic laugh. "Excellent! A last struggle. You entertain me to the very end." He brings his hand down, ready to crush this defiant insect. A massive beam of purple energy shoots towards Taehyun. It slams into him, creating a massive explosion. The master looks down, satisfied, but its eyes widen in shock. Taehyun is still there, holding back the blast with one hand. He asks, "You're curious what this power is?" The boss is speechless. Taehyun smirks, his voice dripping with malice. "Well then, image, sh20208Ds, find out for yourself." He unleashes the full power of Devour. A system message appears. You have advanced to B rank. A colossal wave of red and black energy erupts from Taehyun, a tsunami of pure consumption. The master of Apocalypto screams as the energy tears it apart. It tries to fight back, but it's useless against the tide. "How dare you?" the boss roars in disbelief. Taehyun summons a massive, jagged spear made of the same dark energy. "How dare a lowly human like you?" the master screams as Taehyun hurls the spear. Taehyun's hand glows, the source of this terrifying power. He clenches his fist. A monstrous, swirling vortex of red energy, the true form of Devour, opens around the boss. This is no human power, the boss realizes too late. Taehyun looks on, his eyes glowing. This is the king's power. A massive, shadowy maw with rows of razor-sharp teeth lunges forward and swallows the S-rank boss whole. The energy implodes, completely consuming the master of Apocalypto. The throne room is rocked by the aftershock as the last of the boss is completely devoured. A final system window appears. A new skill, Night King's Spirits, has been registered. Taehyun has not only survived the impossible, he has stolen the power of a god. He survived a slaughter that should have been impossible, but back in the real world, the chaos is just beginning. Outside the testing center, a vortex of raw magic tears through the air as the crowd watches in horror. Up close, the energy coming from the gate is blinding, the pressure so intense it feels like the air itself could shatter. This isn't a D-rank dungeon. This is a catastrophe. An association mage shouts for a magic reading. The answer comes back, and it's a nightmare. The energy levels are off the charts. It's S-rank. Another official yells that the evacuation is failing. The very structure of the dungeon is twisting, trapping everyone inside. They might not make it out before the whole thing breaks. Go. Taewook grits his teeth. An S-rank power surge from a D-rank dungeon makes no sense. He knows that at this rate, everyone inside is going to die. A grim resolve settles over him. He's just an HR manager, but he might be the highest-ranking player on site. He wonders if he'll have to face this threat alone. But then, something changes. The violent surge of energy wavers, and the blinding light at the center of the gate begins to dim. Image, Shafe Twat 08. Someone screams, thinking it's a dungeon break. The crowd scrambles back as Go Taewook shouts for everyone to get ready to fight. With a final, explosive flash, the chaotic energy suddenly vanishes, collapsing in on itself until it's gone. The association members brace for the worst, staring into the now quiet gate, waiting. Go Taewook looks on, sweat dripping down his face, stunned by the sudden silence. What just happened? A lone figure stumbles out of the portal's swirling remnants. It's Taehyun. He's covered in blood and can barely stand, but he's alive. Just barely, he thinks. But I made it back. And just like that, the apocalypto disaster was over, all thanks to one person. The other test takers were evacuated safely. The second round results were decided based on assessments made before the incident. For the other survivors, life would go on. The bodies of the raid party, including the supervisor Madohak, were retrieved and returned to their families. A small mercy in the face of such a tragedy. And as for the biggest question of all, the Player Association decided not to disclose to the public who it was that cleared Apocalypto. Inside the towering headquarters of the association, a crucial meeting is taking place. The chairman sits across from Go Taiwook, explaining that they had to face intense scrutiny from the press. He continues, his tone firm. If they told the truth that a low-rank student cleared an S-rank dungeon, Taehyun would immediately become a target for every villain in the country. He needs to be protected. Go Taiwook and the other official nod in agreement. It's the only logical choice. The chairman clasps his hands, thanking them for their cooperation. But the meeting isn't over. He leans forward, his gaze fixed on them. Now, what do you two think? Go Taiwook stands at attention, the weight of the question hanging in the air. The chairman clarifies. He's not asking about the student, he's asking about the man who cleared the S-rank dungeon, Apocalypto. Go Taiwook puts on a confident smile. He says that since Taeyeon cleared an S-rank dungeon by himself, it's safe to assume he's at least as strong as an S-rank player. The other official adds that Taehyun's official rank is far lower, which means the true extent of his powers is nearly impossible to estimate. The chairman leans in, his interest piqued. By that you mean? Go Taiwook and the other official exchange a knowing look. Go Taiwook delivers the shocking conclusion, there's a high chance that Kim Taehyun has the potential of a nation's entire force, a being powerful enough to defend a country single-handedly. Meanwhile, Taehyun's consciousness is adrift in a hellish dimension, a blood-red sky swirling around a black sun. This is the abyss. He gasps for air, his body heavy and weak as chunks of rock float past him. Horrific screams echo all around him as monstrous, demonic beasts surge forward. They swarm from all directions, a tide of claws and fangs ready to tear him apart. He stands on a jagged rock, looking down at the army of monsters, completely bewildered. What the hell is this? A cold dread washes over him as he realizes where he is. How am I in the abyss? Suddenly, a brilliant light erupts from the black sun. A figure descends, radiant and impossibly powerful. It's a being of pure, white light, its form humanoid but ethereal. Its presence commands the entire dimension. Taehyun stares up in shock, his mind screaming one word. King? The monsters shriek in terror, turning their attention from Taehyun to the being of light. The king simply raises a hand, its expression calm and indifferent. With a single, silent gesture, it closes its fist. A wave of pure energy washes over the landscape, and the entire horde of monsters disintegrates into nothing. Taehyun is left standing alone, watching the remnants of the obliterated army drift away like snow. He looks up at the king, a mixture of awe and fear on his face. He doesn't understand what's happening. A voice echoes in his mind, seeming to come from everywhere at once. It's the king. I'll be waiting. The king floats high above him, a beacon of light in the horrifying darkness. The voice continues, resonating deep within Taehyun's soul. In the deepest of abysses, corners. And with that final cryptic word, the king's form flickers and breaks apart. Chi-hyun's eyes snap open with a gasp, drenched in a cold sweat. He's lying in a hospital bed, the morning sun streaming in. He's safe. He's back. He sits up, his heart still pounding as he looks at his own hand. Was that a dream? No. He clenches his fist. It was too vivid, too real. The king's final words echo in his mind. What did he mean by, he'll be waiting? The vision hangs in his thoughts, an unsolvable puzzle. His mind is racing. His predation skill, his ability to understand monsters, the mysteries just keep piling up. He wonders if getting stronger and venturing into the abyss is the only way to find answers. As he thinks, a dark aura seeps from his hand. He pulls up his status window. His rank has changed. He's no longer C rank. And at the bottom of the list, a new skill, Night King's Spirit. Rank B. Just as he thought, the new skill is the very power the dungeon boss used to crush its enemies, and now it's his. He clenches his fist, a surge of power flowing through him. He had a feeling this might happen. but to actually advance to B rank, this is a huge leap. He looks over his stats again. With these numbers, he's confident he could go toe-to-toe with an S-rank player. He now wields the same overwhelming spiritual pressure that almost crushed him. A wide, confident smirk spreads across his face. At this rate, he thinks, it won't be long before I reach the rank of a nation's entire force. Suddenly, a loud banging from his hospital room door snaps him out of his thoughts. Taehyun jolts. A panicked voice from outside yells, "No, you can't just go in there," followed by a pained scream. The door creaks open. A woman's voice sighs, "My goodness, I can't believe they wouldn't even let me visit a sick person." She adds that even for the association chairman, this level of security is just too much. The door swings open to reveal a woman with short, bluish-purple hair. Behind her, 2 guards are slumped on the floor. She looks at Taehyun and asks, "Don't you think so too?" She flashes a brilliant, disarming smile and calls out to him, "Darling?" A little while later, they're driving down the city streets in a sleek, expensive car. In the back seat, a man in a suit nervously suggests, "Guildmaster, I think it's better if I drive." But she dismisses him instantly. As she weaves through traffic, she tells her subordinate that Taehyun is her guest. Taehyun, in the passenger seat, remains silent and watchful. He finally breaks the silence, putting on an earpiece. Taehyun looks out the window, his expression unreadable. "What does the Guildmaster of the Nightwalkers, one of the 4 great guilds, want from me?" The Guildmaster turns to him with a playful smile. "Oh, didn't I tell you?" she asks. She claims she's just dropping him off and was curious to see who survived Apocalypto. Image Sh20777 Taehyun isn't buying it. A guildmaster of one of the 4 great guilds wouldn't make a personal trip for such a trivial reason. He tells her to try a more plausible lie. She smirks, impressed. "You're pretty sharp, huh?" "Okay then." She gets serious, asking if he knows what will happen in the 3rd round of the tryouts. She explains, round 3 will be another survival game, but this one will be open to the public. Her eyes narrow. Taehyun's powers will be made public for the whole world to see. All the guilds will surely start trying to recruit him. She leans in, her voice persuasive. "So let me make you an offer you can't refuse before that. Money? Fame?" She reaches her hand out to him, her eyes gleaming. "Kim Taehyun, I'll give you anything you want. So, join the Nightwalkers." Taehyun looks down at her offered hand, the weight of the offer hanging between them. He slowly lifts his gaze to meet hers. His eyes are cold, devoid of any emotion. He's considered her offer. In the back seat, the guildmaster's subordinate is sweating with anticipation, waiting for the answer. Taehyun looks straight at the guildmaster of the Nightwalkers and gives his one-word reply, "Not interested." The car is filled with a stunned silence, broken only by the guildmaster and her subordinate thinking the same thing in unison. "What?" The city skyline passes by, indifferent to the bombshell that just dropped inside the car. Taehyun has once again defied all expectations. After dropping a bombshell that left a guildmaster speechless, Taehyun decides it's time to go. The car pulls over in a quiet residential neighborhood. He steps out of the car, casually thanking them for the ride and saying he'll walk the rest of the way. But Ahum, the guildmaster, jumps out after him, her mind still reeling. "What? But why?" she yells, completely baffled. She's losing her cool, her voice rising with frustration. "Did you even hear what I said? Whatever you want. Salary, any condition. I'll make it happen." She presses him, trying to find an explanation. Did another guild make a better offer? Taehyun just turns his head, a look of irritation on his face. He finally turns back to her, his expression calm. "Please don't misunderstand," he says flatly. "There's no special reason." He continues walking, speaking over his shoulder. He doesn't have another offer. Then he asks a question that cuts to her pride. "Is the Nightwalkers Guild really all that special?" He glances back with a dismissive smirk. "I'm just saying no because I don't want to." The sheer audacity leaves her speechless. He turns away for good, his tone final. "I'll get going now." He walks away without another word, leaving one of the most powerful people in the country standing dumbfounded on the street. A faint, confident smile plays on his lips. He knew exactly what he was doing, but Yoo Ah-hyung is not someone who takes no for an answer. In a flash, she closes the distance. Before Taehyun can react, she's behind him, one hand clamped over his mouth, the other grabbing his arm. He's caught off guard. A faint green aura begins to glow around her. Her eyes glow with a dangerous green light. Her playful demeanor is gone, replaced by pure, cold fury. "What the hell is your deal?" she snarls. She tightens her grip, her voice dripping with disbelief. He's just a rookie, and he dares to reject her offer without a reason? To her, it makes no sense. However, she pulls his head back, her aura flaring. "I'll forgive you," she says, as if doing him a massive favor. Her expression shifts to a predatory smile. "In fact, I like you." She enjoys people with guts. Her subordinate runs up, panicking. "Guildmaster, he's still just a test taker. What are you doing?" He turns to Taehoon, trying to salvage the situation. "Also, you, Kim Taehoon, just accept the offer." But Taehoon isn't listening. A dark, knowing grin spreads across his face. With a chilling smirk, he looks right at her and says, as expected of Limahung's sister. The words hit her like a physical blow. Her eyes widen in pure shock, the green glow flickering. "How do you know that?" she stammers. Taehoon's smirk widens. "Well, I know a lot," he says, his voice low and dangerous. "About the stolen name, too." The shock turns to pure rage. Her power explodes from her body. In the quiet neighborhood, a pillar of green light erupts into the night sky. The energy is immense, a silent, powerful blast that shakes the very air. Down on the street, the subordinate is thrown back by the sheer force of her aura. This is bad, he thinks, struggling against the pressure. He knows his guildmaster has completely lost it. In his past life, Taeyeon knew this secret well. The guildmaster, Yu Ah-hyung, was actually born Lim Ah-hyung, first daughter of the powerful Yuksung group. But when her younger sister was born with immense talent, the family cast her aside, taking her name and giving it to the new prodigy. The fact that she had to change her surname was a deep, hidden wound. It was a secret that only a handful of the most powerful people in the world should ever know. Enraged, she lunges at him, her killing intent palpable. "How dare you say that nonsense to me?" Taehoon meets her glowing eyes without flinching. "You're the one who started it," he replies calmly. A system message appears. A mysterious force is trying to crush him, but a dark red energy erupts from his body, pushing back. Resistance successful. He counters with his own power, the Night King's spirit. The red and green auras clash violently. He overpowers her, and she stumbles back with a cry of pain. She clutches her chest, completely stunned. What is this power, she thinks, trembling. Her mind is reeling. It wasn't enough that he could withstand an S-rank player's power. He actually reversed it. He looks up, his expression cold and dominant. The fight is already over. Yu Ah-hyung flinches, her pride and power completely shattered. In an instant, Taehyun closes the distance again. But this time, the roles are reversed. He slams her against the wall, pinning her with one arm. He leans in close, his voice a low warning. "Let's not cross the line," he says, before delivering the final blow. "Ah-hyung's sister, Miss Ah-hyung." She lets out a choked sound, her face flushing with humiliation, anger, and shock. He has completely broken her. Her subordinate can only stare in disbelief. Did he really just say that? The scene changes. A massive, modern coliseum stands under a bright sky, huge crowds flocking towards it. This impressive structure is the venue for the final round of the player tryouts. Inside, the stands are packed, the roar of the crowd echoing through the arena. Unlike the first two rounds, this final one is a massive public spectacle. People from all over the industry are here, alongside thousands of civilians. And sitting among them, disguised in a hoodie, is Yu Ah-hyung, her eyes fixed on Kim Taehyun. The once proud guildmaster is now just another face in the crowd, watching the boy who humbled her. Elsewhere, Taehyun's aunt and uncle are watching nervously. "Oh my, thanks to Taehyun, we get to see this," his uncle says. But his aunt is worried if it will be okay. "Ha ha ha," a loud voice booms. "You don't need to worry about that. It's their son, Hwang Jae-young, holding a massive poster declaring Taehyun the S-rank slayer. He's radiating pure hype. Taehyun's so strong, he could take them all out in one blow." This is Hwang Jae-young, formerly just Taehyun's cousin, now the one-man president of the Kim Taehyun fan club. His mother just stammers, completely overwhelmed by her son's energy. In another section, a young reporter, Kim Gija, is biting her nails. "I have to get a proper news item this time," she thinks. This is Kim Gija, a rookie reporter for SY Economic. Her current trait, on the verge of being fired, she remembers her furious boss screaming at her for pitching an interview with a low ranker, her career hanging by a thread. She clenches her fists. That child, Kim Tae-hyun, must have been disqualified by now. If she doesn't get a good interview this time, she might actually be fired. As she scans the arena, a nearby spectator comments, "Doesn't the atmosphere feel a bit strange?" The spectator's friend is confused. Strange? From her perspective, it just looks like all the test takers are standing around. But Kim Gi-ja sees it too. Something is definitely off. From high-ranking veterans to promising A-rank candidates to even ruthless-looking villains, they're all staring at just one guy. Every single person in the arena has their eyes locked on Kim Tae-hyun. The realization dawns on her. Don't tell me, are they all trying to take down one guy? She wonders. How strong is he for them to do that? She lets out a gasp, finally understanding the sheer gravity of the situation Tae-hyun is in. An announcer's voice echoes through the Coliseum. Round 3 of the player tryouts shall soon begin. Down in the arena, Tae-hyun looks up at the crowd of opponents surrounding him, a slow, predatory grin spreading across his face. The announcer continues. All viewers are requested to be cautious of the shock while watching. Tae-hyun stands calmly in the eye of the storm. Now, begin the test. As the announcement is made, Tae-hyun's smirk widens. He's not scared, he's thrilled. This is Kim Tae-hyun, the C-ranker who defeated an S-ranker and is now, secretly, a B-ranker ready to show everyone what true power looks like. The bell rings, and the entire arena explodes into action. But this isn't a battle royale, it's a hunt, with every player's attacks aimed at one person. Spikes of ice, bursts of fire, raw energy. It's a storm of abilities all converging on one spot, a chaotic display meant to overwhelm and annihilate. One of the contestants screams out the plan, "Get rid of him right away." They know they can't afford to fight him one-on-one. Another charges forward with the same brutal logic. If they don't eliminate the biggest threat first, he'll just pick them all off one by one. Tae-hyun is in the middle of it all, a whirlwind of fists and magical energy closing in from every angle. The force of the combined assault is staggering, a shockwave blasting outwards. It looks like he's been completely swallowed by the onslaught. But as the dust settles, Tae-hyun stands there with a dark, confident smirk. He cracks his knuckles, his arm coated in stone skin, completely unharmed. And then he moves. A punch shatters a jaw. A kick sends another player flying. It's not a fight, it's a systematic dismantling of the entire field. He stands over the carnage, not a scratch on him. The battlefield is silent except for the groans of the defeated. He's barely broken a sweat. Suddenly, a green gem embedded in the stone floor begins to glow. It's a trap. Green, thorny vines erupt from the broken floor, shooting towards him at incredible speed. They wrap around his legs and torso in an instant, pinning him in place. Tae-hyun looks down at the writhing vines, more curious than concerned. Oh, what is this? The attacker, a man with green hair named Lee Gil-san, lets out a maniacal laugh, taunting that even an S-rank slayer can be caught off guard. With a smug look, he declares himself the A-rank genius Lee Gil-san, the final winner. But his celebration is cut short. With a single flex of raw power, Tae-hyun shatters the vines like glass. Before Gil-san can register his failure, Tae-hyun is on him, and a single punch sends him crashing to the ground. Tae-hyun looks down at the fallen A-ranker, completely unimpressed. The vines wither away as he says one chilling word, "Next." The remaining contestants are horrified. One screams, "That damn monster!" Everyone, keep attacking him, no stopping! Tae-hyun just smirks and raises a hand, as if beckoning them to try. He channels his power, his voice low and confident. Night King's spirit. A crushing red aura explodes from his body. The charging contestants are stopped dead in their tracks, their faces frozen in shock. They can't move. They can't even breathe, completely paralyzed by the overwhelming spiritual pressure. Behind Tae-hyun, a massive spectral image begins to form, a terrifying skeletal king radiating pure dread. The Night King's spirit manifests fully, its empty eye sockets glowing with malevolent red light. The contestants can only let out choked screams before the wave of power hits them. In the stands, everyone watches in absolute horror. Tae-hyun stands at the center of it all, the calm master of the chaos he's unleashed. Even Yua Hunga, the S-rank guildmaster, is on her feet, her popcorn forgotten. That lunatic, she thinks, her mind reeling. How could he use a wide-area mental attack like that in the middle of an arena? She's witnessing a level of control that defies logic. The red aura finally dissipates, leaving a silent arena floor littered with dozens of unconscious bodies. Taehyun stands tall over the defeated, brushing the dust off his shoulder. "Whew," he sighs. And with that, we're all wrapped up. He turns his head, a slight smile on his face. All that remains now is, his gaze falls on the only other person still standing. It's Lim Ah-hyung. She's breathing heavily, her fists clenched, but she hasn't fallen. He looks at her, his expression unreadable. "What do you want to do, Lim Ah-hyung? I don't mind you withdrawing." He's giving her a chance to walk away. But then a predatory grin spreads across his face. "Or do you want a repeat of the first round?" The taunt is a direct challenge to her pride. She doesn't answer with words. A powerful wave of cold energy erupts from her, sharp ice crystals forming around her. The ground freezes over as she unleashes her S-rank power. She creates a massive defensive dome of ice, preparing for his attack. She screams his name, but he just stands there, a bored look on his face. This again, he thinks, completely unimpressed. She dispels the dome and goes on the offensive, summoning a massive ice sword. "I think you'd better worry about yourself," she yells. Her eyes glow with righteous fury, because this time, that won't be happening. She's determined not to be defeated in the same way again. Taehyun just gives her a slight, challenging smirk. "You sure about that?" The entire arena floor is instantly covered in jagged pillars of ice as she unleashes her full power. A massive serpent of ice lunges toward him, ready to swallow him whole. But in a flash, he's already moved, appearing right behind her before she can even register what happened. With a soft thud, Lim Ah-hyung collapses to the frozen ground unconscious. He didn't even need a heavy blow. A simple, precise chop to the back of the neck was all it took. He lets out a slow breath, shaking his hand. He looks down at her unconscious form and admits, "As expected of you, Lim Ah-hyung." A small, genuine smile touches his lips. "You are still the most difficult opponent. It's a moment of pure respect for her strength." The announcer's voice booms through the silent stadium. With that, the player tryouts have ended. The top qualifier is applicant number 920, Kim Taehyun. Later, in a quiet office, Taehyun's rewards are laid out on a table, a trophy, his player license, and a sleek dagger. The association chairman sits across from him with a warm smile. "Congratulations on becoming an S-rank player. It's official." The chairman continues, "By the way, I didn't expect you to single-handedly end the third round." He chuckles. "Or is it to be expected considering you cleared Apocalypto?" Taehyun picks up the dagger, examining it. He answers humbly, "I was merely lucky." The chairman watches him, his expression thoughtful. He sees through the false modesty. He gets straight to the point. "Taehyun, how about joining the new South Korea Player Association?" Taehyun looks up, caught slightly off guard by the direct offer. "What do you think," the chairman asks, "about working for the new South Korea Player Association?" The chairman leans back, waiting. This is the ultimate prize for any new player, a guaranteed position of power. Taehyun looks at the rewards, his mind drifting. Truly, a lot has changed. In his previous life, he begged to get into a third-rate guild. Now, he's being offered a prime position in the association by the chairman himself. The world is completely different this time. He thinks to himself that even when you think you know this world, you really don't know what'll happen. However, despite the incredible offer, he looks the chairman directly in the eye. "I'd like to decline." The chairman's calm expression shatters. He jolts forward, slamming his hands on the desk. "But why?" he stammers, completely shocked. Taehyun calmly replies, "There's no special reason." He takes a sip of his tea, explaining his logic. "I just believe that rather than being a member of a great guild or the association, it'll be more effective to work alone." He says it with such calm confidence, as if it's the most obvious thing in the world. He doesn't need them. The chairman slumps back in his chair, defeated. "I'm sorry I couldn't be any help to you," he sighs. But then a small chuckle escapes him. The chuckle turns into a full-blown booming laugh that fills the office. He's not angry, he's amused. Taehyun just sips his tea, unbothered. The chairman finally calms down. "I never imagined you'd say you're better off alone," he says, a wide grin on his face. "That level of confidence, all right." Image, Shtio 079, a shrewd look enters his eyes. "In that case, how about we do something else instead?" Taehyun's interest is piqued. "Something else?" The chairman leans forward, a wide, excited grin on his face. Are you interested in participating in the Asian exhibition games? He gestures to a vision of powerful, shadowy figures from across the continent. This isn't just a national game anymore. He's inviting Tae-hyun to the world stage. The stakes have just been raised higher than ever before.